Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. How y'all doing? My name is Dave Scott, and we are glad to have you all here tonight as we continue on with the first week of August. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You will be here momentarily. But first, let's say hello to everyone in the audience. Awesome Man B in the gold medal position. Race Fan taking over silver. Magneticus with a bronze medal tonight. Nightmare, Rui in Portugal. How you guys doing? Roy the Boy, Cold Warrior, welcome to SOR chat. Toe Tag, D. Cohen, Les Paul, Holland in Australia. Mark Longoria, how you guys doing? One of our favorite veterans, Black Dragon, the former Marine, here in our chat room. Again, we love veterans around here. You always have a safe place in our chat room. Thank you for your service. Here we go. Continuing on with roll call. Northern California Cubs fan is here. They'll be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Awesome Man B, nice to see you. Dirty Filth, always a pleasure. Brown Dwarf, it's Johnny Wreaking Havoc. How you doing, buddy? Marty Burback, how you doing, man? Downshift, good to see you. Digger Dog, thanks for coming on in. 405er, Awesome Man Palmer, again. Grand Tavius, good to have you here, brother. And who else is joining us here? Alien Critter is here. Alien Critter will also be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the right of the studio. To the right of the studio. The Mac Geek, how you doing, man? Holly, how you doing, brother? And where are we here? Well, there's the gorgeous Dirt Road. The lovely Laura. Nice to have you both here. And Nicholas Shaughnessy. His hair is looking fantastic tonight. The gorgeous and stunning Amy W.C. is here. Jaden 13, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And who else? We have the gorgeous Amy Vegas O, drinking a Bloody Mary. She's got her feet up while working on the computer right now. George Hernandez. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Gong Show. How you doing? Night Gazer. It's been a while. How you been? And the Jim Christie is here, everyone. The Jim Christie. The gorgeous Jenny White Bear, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Raz, Thomas Rock, good to see you guys. Siobhan Ananda, welcome to SOR chat. Thank you for joining us. Asteroid, good to see you. Richard Elmore, thank you for coming on in. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived. Teresa Davis, looking lovely tonight. Thank you for joining us. As we continue on with roll call. And there's Dutch Hank, the gorgeous Simply Coco. Please give us an update on your drink of choice for tonight's show. Let's start the radio side. And who else is here? Well, let's take a look here. We are caught up. Just like that. We're caught up. All right. A great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis is the Super Chat. It is open. Hi, Kevin Kingsmore. Welcome to SOR Chat. Geraldine Orozco is our guest. Remember, you can also go shopping at the Spaced Out Radio store, which is on our website, spacedoutradio.com. I'm going to hope that I don't lose my voice. You guys get ready to rock out because we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. We really are. And it's always a lot of fun when Geraldine is here. And we also got Dirty Filth drawing new cartoons. They Know Jim. How you doing? Simply Coco is drinking a Merlot. She's simple tonight. Very nice. Very, very nice. I hope your feet are up as well, Coco. We love you around here. Yeah, we do. We got 25 seconds before we're going to launch. And if you don't know Geraldine's website, It is GeraldineOrozco.com. Hey, look who it is. It's the stunning Shiny Ray. It's been a while. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have some fun tonight. A lot of fun, as we normally do. And, of course, Super Duke will be by later. The gorgeous Margie O, thanks for joining us. But right now, I need a favor from all of you. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight. Kicking off right off the bat, Geraldine Orozco from GeraldineOrozco.com. She is here at the beginning of each month for the spiritual you. We got her in voice, not in camera tonight, but that's okay. We're not going to be able to see her hair. And you know Geraldine always has fantastic hair. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller's going to join us for another spooky story. Then Super Duke will be by with World Bigfoot Radio. And from there, Shirky Poo has the news. Each and every month, as we kick things off, Geraldine Orozco joins us from Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. It was a life-altering journey that started around 2011, really picked up pace in 2013, that put Geraldine on this amazing journey of spirituality and learning all about the human body and its consciousness. She is an ET contactee, also helping, people who have their own abduction or contact experiences. She counsels them. She lets them know what is going on. She's into DNA reprogramming. She is into everything that helps heal the human body. And we're always glad when she is on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine Orozco from GeraldineOrozco.com. It is always a pleasure to have you here, my beautiful friend. How are you? Geraldine, can you hear us? Because we got you up. I think she is having troubles hearing us right now. Well, this kind of sucks here. But Geraldine, are you there? I can hear you, but I'm assuming you cannot hear me. All right, Geraldine, we're going to put you in the back here for just a couple of seconds here while you get your technical stuff figured out.
Dave, can you hear me now?
There, we got you. Holy cow.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry about that. It's the same reason why I'm having issues with my camera tonight. And I think I got a new camera and it's not compatible with this browser and I don't have the software to upload it. So I'm so sorry. But I can hear you and I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we got you.
Great.
We got
Awesome.
you. I'm flattered now after that heart attack there, but thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
I now know that I'm alive, so thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. As always, it is such a pleasure, Dave. And I'm excited for tonight.
Me too. What have you been up to the last month?
Oh, working. We've been doing some really exciting challenges. We just finished our 30-day emotional mastery, and I know you popped in so many times, Dave. Thank you so much, and your support as well was incredible. I'm so glad that you got to check out our nightly meditation. So that was really great. Yeah, and preparing for, I have on Thursday, we're going to be doing a little chat on Portal to Ascension. And we have the hybrid conference coming up this coming month,
Very
at the end of
nice.
the month. Yeah, so lots of exciting things.
Well, I'll tell you something exciting. The audience already knows. Last week, I took my little dude to his first rock concert.
Oh,
He
that's so
absolutely loved it.
great. Really?
And,
Is he a rocker? Yeah?
oh yeah, he went hard, Geraldine. He went hard to the point, so hard to the point for a 9-year-old that he doesn't even remember getting back to the hotel room. There was no pot smoke happening. This wasn't there was no hippie lettuce or anything like that around, but he went really hard. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
and what's really cool is I actually found out today that Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, who takes care of all of our music, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Sons of Apollo, he is playing north of me in November.
Oh, wow.
And so we're going to fly up to the White Horse, Yukon. All right. The Klondike,
Wow.
where it's literally at that time of year, you get about 5 hours of sunlight at that time of year.
Oh my God, that is so interesting. How exciting.
And we're going to fly up there and we're going to rock out again this year,
hmm
this time to Bumblefoot live. So I'm pretty
Very
stoked.
cool. That's so great.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on you, because we got a lot of stuff going on around here, and the one thing that I'm hearing a lot of stuff going on, Geraldine, is that a lot of people seem to be battling a little bit of darkness lately. A lot of people seem to have this dark cloud over them that's causing a lot of negative energy. And I'm wondering if you're noticing that as well.
Oh, well, you know what? I have been noticing over the past couple months, but specifically over the past month with clients, that yes, people are going through dark nights of the soul. That has been coming up, but I also have been seeing that major transformations are finally coming into the physical, into manifestation. I mean, this is a trend that I'm seeing. And I think that people are really being called to kind of apply everything that they've been learning and to finally let go of the old patterns that have been causing suffering. I think people are finally coming to that realization. And if dark clouds over the head has been something that you've noticed, probably it's this transition opportunity that is available right now that many people are experiencing, I think.
How does one clear that? How do you get rid of that?
Yeah. Well, it really comes down to our belief systems. If we begin to take a look at what belief systems we have around the limiting beliefs are things that limit our ability to see ourselves for what we really are. Oftentimes because of trauma, life experiences, and because of, challenging life experiences, we create a lot of stories around belief systems, and usually these are learned experiences based on what we're seeing from mother, father, and we take on a lot of this kind of emotional learning, and we mirror a lot of these emotional patterns. And a lot of the patterns that are coming up right now are really are coming about control. What does it mean to be in control? What does it mean to be controlled? And taking a look at all of the interconnected systems that play into these belief systems of control. And I think that we're going through kind of this awakening collectively where we're beginning to question these belief systems that are around control and beginning to understand, what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to not have to abide by old social belief systems that no longer apply to society, no longer apply to the family nucleus, no longer apply to the definitions that we need to put on ourselves. And all areas of our reality are kind of being put into question. Everything from sex to family to religion, culture, education, a lot is shifting, so when we have big changes like that collectively, we kind of have to shift our belief systems. So this is something that happens over time, but how we begin to support ourselves in these shift beliefs systems is that we have to be very compassionate with ourselves, very patient with ourselves, and provide supporting evidence for why those belief systems don't work anymore. And we need to discover what new ways, what new beliefs we can adopt that can help us navigate a lot of these kinds of challenging situations in the world, inside and outside our personal space.
You,
So,
you, you know how I break that down, exactly how you're saying it, is it almost sounds the way like the back end of YouTube works, where you're always every day having to shift the algorithms in order to catch the eyes of new and potential new subscribers. It almost sounds like the exact thing that on a human side, you almost have to shift your algorithms on an each and every daily basis in order to manipulate the energy into from negative to positive.
mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we're learning is that it's not so much about looking at right and wrong anymore. And here's why. It's about looking at things as cause and effect and being aware of how things are cause and effect, how things come to be, how things manifest, how people end up the way we are, how suffering comes into play, how joy comes into play. If we understand how we come from A to B, and the process of getting there, we can learn a lot about ourselves, and we can also begin to learn a lot about those around us, whether it's people that are committing crimes to people that are in highly successful, loving relationships, for example, because these are things that we haven't been taught in society. We're not taught how to be humans. We're not taught how to love, how to be compassionate with ourselves. A lot of our belief systems are based on survival. And when you have an entire society that's built on survival and sustaining that survival way of life, it gets really hard to understand how to connect mind body, the connection between what actually love, peace, harmony, all these wonderful things that we're trying to achieve, even feel like. So one of the things that I really stress, and this is why I did the emotional mastery 30-day challenge, is to get to know your emotions, to understand what emotions are. It is energetic. It's an energetic investment. And emotions, whatever emotion we're feeling, you have to realize that you are investing your energy in some direction. So you need to understand what direction you're investing your energy. Is it counterproductive, or is it productive for you to embody this, whatever emotion it is? And the education around emotions should be really important, I think, for every human. And it's a key to freedom. It's a key to joy. It's the ability to be loved and love others.
What happens when we just give in and release all that negativity, all of those question marks that literally float over people's heads on a daily basis on if they're making the right decisions in life?
Yeah, so when you start to shift away from compartmentalizing things and seeing things as black and white, seeing things as right and wrong, what happens is that you are kind of forced into a place of an observer rather than a judger, right? Instead of constantly judging things. And what happens is, as an observer, you don't have to spend as much life force, energy, emotionally closing yourself into a definition. Because every moment that we judge something, it's kind of like a little death. We experience a death because you've created a definition, you've defined something as good and bad, and that's it. Unless you're willing to continue evolving that belief system, you keep going into these little definition boxes. So that's very exhausting, not only energetically for the body, but it's also limiting because you're not often able to have a broader perspective of other potential truths. And so, as an observer, not playing that judgment game anymore. You come into a state of neutrality, of observation. And I think those of you that have taken the time to experience that understand that that state of neutrality is the key to freedom, absolute freedom. It's a key to real love, real bliss. From that neutral space is birthed compassion, because you understand there is now a very profound awareness that your awareness of your emotions and the input of your emotions into everything, it means something. Every time you feel fear, you're causing chemical reactions in your body that trigger a lot of things. The suppression of immune system, the nervous system, goes haywire. We have chemicals and hormones rushing through the body that cause a lot of effects in the body that destabilize the well-being of the physical body. So we have to really ask ourselves, does this, what I'm seeing on TV or what I'm being told, do I need to feel anger or a certain emotion in that moment? Is it productive to feel that? And emotions, it's not a matter of denying them, but use the trigger of that emotion and the information that it has for you. That emotion is so full of information. It tells you about you, it tells you about your belief systems, it tells you about the parts of you that you doubt, and it tells you about your views of the world and the way you view yourself in the world. So there's a lot of information there. If we were able to observe and take the information from that emotion rather than just reacting without taking a moment to process why we're even feeling that way, we begin to shift in how we are cultivating our life force, and we create a very compassionate relationship with ourselves. And this is incredibly powerful because the humans, as we begin to master this state of observation, can really begin to embody, make space for love, for bliss, and get very clear about what is right for ourselves and the collective. Not right as in wrong, but the healthiest for yourself and the whole. If we were to shift to make decisions from this perspective, it would be a lot more productive, not just for ourselves, but everyone around us. So this is a very powerful tool that we can begin to kind of adopt in our life.
Okay. I know I ask you this question all the time, and I apologize for repeating it again in this scenario here, Geraldine. But for many of us, myself included, shutting down the mind to meditate on it is very tough. Even if, like, I meditate every morning in the shower. Every morning, I make sure that I extend my shower by about 5-10 minutes just so I can meditate.
Wow.
And even if in that 5 to 10 minutes that I just put my hands out and let the bad energy loose and bring in the good energy, it's still, I have troubles bringing that timeline and life around me. I can't push it aside because there's too much going on in life right now. And I think a lot of people, the way we live, which is so fast now, have that troubles as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly why we talk about, you see, emotions. It's exhausting to continue to compartmentalize and judge things. That's the thing. So when we see something happen, we feel almost obligated, like we have to define, is that good or bad? Is that good or bad? If we don't know if it's good or bad, it creates a confusion and a disconnect within us. And this is what we call trauma. Okay, you don't need to go through some car accident to experience trauma or have some very severe emotional interaction. Trauma happens anytime we feel overwhelmed in the body. So when we have an overwhelm of information coming in, events, experiences going around us, and we don't know how to interact with them or how to handle them, we are in a constant state of overwhelm, and it piles up. And the reason why is because there has been a disconnect between our emotional communication, how we feel, why we feel the way we feel, and the experiences that are occurring outside of us. So how can we change this? Because all of us struggle with this. We all find ourselves in moments of overwhelm, and what happens in a body that's in constant overwhelm, that's directly, we're in a state of survival, right? So then our entire life turns into survival mode. And this is not only terrible for the body because your body is in constant creation of inflammation and chemicals that suppress the immune system. They cause depression, anxiety. We want to eat a lot of unhealthy foods to help, satiate these really heavy chemicals in the body that are just creating stress. Along with many other things. Your sleep patterns are messed up, and of course, high stress. So how we can begin to change that is to gently begin to create the communication, reopen the communication between the emotions and the observer, the one that's watching the events occur and interacting with people in our lives. Because what happens is we are in a constant state of resistance. That overwhelm, because we don't know how to respond, we are resisting because we don't know, is that good, is that bad? I don't know how to judge that, so I'm going to protect myself and be in resistance. And that resistance is exhausting. So here's the thing, if you begin to not be in a state of resistance, meaning not try to control the things that are happening outside of you, because we know that even if you try to control, you still will not be able to control. Even if you're type A, super organized, super making sure everything is good, you still will not be able to control the millions of variables that we encounter in everyday life. So the thing is to understand that. I think it's a level of maturing that we need to get to as a human race, becoming very, very realistic about what we can and cannot do to affect our reality. Change collectively starts with each individual. And when we begin to understand that constant trying to be in a state of resistance and control actually creates more of that. And when we come into a state of observation and communication with our own emotions, begin to get organized with the things that are productive and counterproductive for us individually, we begin to grow and see things beyond just ourselves, because we understand that what is healthy and vibrant and creates longevity inside our physical body and mind is also what creates longevity, well-being for every human being, regardless of sex, religion, culture, age. All humans need to maintain a homeostasis, a balance within their body. And there's a key to that. And it's something that's been practiced for centuries and centuries of yogis and people that have learned the secrets of bringing the body into its optimum function, its optimum state, are these practical tools that we can utilize by beginning to shift from being in a state of survival into a state of creator, and then observer, and then creator. This is how we can begin to actually manifest.
And on that note, Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California, will be back right after this break with the spiritual you. And when we return, we're going to get into ETs, aliens, your questions in hour 2. Lots of show left on Spaced Out Radio. You're so damn good. Just so damn good.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Such great questions. I love this conversation. I think it's so timely.
Well, it is. It is. And we'll eventually turning it into the ET hour here, but because I always like to get your take on that. So we'll figure that out. But, just go with it.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
Hi to everyone in the chat. You guys are so great. I love seeing some friendly faces here, and It's so great to have you guys.
Oh, it's not bad to start off. We're at 123 right now live.
Nice. So your voice, is this because of fun rock concerts?
It was getting better, and then I took my son to the concert, and I got all raspy again. And
Oh,
so I got to keep, in order to keep my voice going, I got to keep my throat and my mouth damp. So
yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
that's good. Good.
And lots of water. Yep, lots of water. I
Great.
love my water.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And I hate you for telling me that I have to do that, but I am listening. This is all your fault.
Oh, I think your body thanks you. I think your body loves you, Dave. That's so great.
You know what I'm noticing though, and I mentioned it last night. Part of the problem that I'm having is I'm really watching my weight go like this. It goes up and down and up and
Yeah.
down. It's like a big wave going on,
Hmm.
and it's driving me nuts right now, to be honest.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, that's it. Are you stressing out a lot?
No, not really,
Oh,
not
that's
really.
that's
No,
good.
today I put my foot down on some things, so it's
Oh,
all good. It's all good. It's about taking back control, like you said.
that's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah. Yeah, big changes are coming, I think, in all areas of our lives. So, that's really good, Dave.
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm living. I'm rocking. It's all that matters. As long as
Good.
the music is loud and it allows me to sit back and just smile. It's all that matters.
Nice.
Yeah. Uh, it's all good. It's all good. So, are you? Since we can't see, how does your hair look tonight?
My hair is wavy and big,
Hmm.
as always. Yeah.
Yeah, I know my audience doesn't like this, but I'm actually thinking of cutting mine.
Oh, yeah? Are you going to
Yeah.
get it again?
Well, I'm not going to go short, but I'm gonna cut some off.
Hmm. Hey,
Yeah.
how was your presentation? I saw the pictures on Facebook that you were speaking, and it looks fantastic. How was that, by the way? I'm sure you
Well,
talked about this, but I haven't seen you since.
it was good.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and about a third of the way, the computer died. It lost its charge, so they had to plug it back in. And that took about 5 minutes. So I just started to, because I can't stand dead air. So I started telling some stories, and I made a lot of fun out of Paul Hynek
Oh,
because
yeah, Paul. Hmm.
Paul's just not funny. Great guy, but he's not funny. And let's see here. And then I continued on with my presentation about it was about the media's role in ufology and how they don't want this story. So
Mm-hmm. That's right.
it
Yeah. Wow.
was an important topic. I had a great time slot to speak in, like right after lunch. And
Nice.
between you and me, and I realize this will be on recording, there was a lot of stuffy people there speaking.
Oh,
Good
really?
people. Don't get me wrong, good people, but
Yeah.
their presentations were kind of stuffy. So I think it quickly got around that mine was entertaining.
Uh-huh.
And like by the end of it, there was probably 350, 400 people standing in there.
Wow, so awesome. Well, I mean, yours is entertaining, but it's also really well done, Dave. So, I'm
Right.
really glad people went to see you.
Well, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Uh, Alexander Ramirez. No, Dave is not a musician. Dave's tried to be a musician. Dave is not a musician at all. So there is no solo music for Dave. Hopefully, Dave's son in the future, but that'll be good. Quickly here, big thank you to Kira, Science Bob, Siobhan, and 405er for the amazing super chats tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Very much appreciate it. We also got some great swag on our store at spacedoutradio.com. Here we go, everyone, with the second half hour. half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, as we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. She joins us at the beginning of each month for the Spiritual You, where we get into the Zen, the Qi, tighten our chakras, and learn to live as a conscious being that we are. It's hard, it's difficult, but damn it, Geraldine will kick our asses if we don't. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, I know you're laughing over that one.
That is so funny. Thank you, Dave.
Yes.
We're making it easy. We're making it easy.
I want to get a picture of you, and right across it, I want to put spiritual ass kicker.
That's hilarious. Oh, I'm not that bad. Come on.
I think you're great. You're absolutely great. And I think that would be a great t-shirt, though.
That would be kind of fun. Yeah, let's do it.
You know what? We got to get Dirty Filth to draw a cartoon with you with your long flowing hair and a cape and your best set of stilettos. And he will. I can see him writing it down right now. And you're the spiritual ass kicker, Super Geraldine, with a big SG patch on your chest. You know how it goes. That's what we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
That's pretty cool. Are we gonna have one for you too? What are you gonna be?
Oh, I got enough t-shirts about me.
You have enough t-shirts. All right, that's cool.
I even made one that I'm wearing tonight for my cable guy Matt. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, I made shirts for everybody. Why not? It's a lot of fun. But Geraldine, let's get back to the seriousness of everything. Right before the break, we were talking about, the darkness that people are embattling these days. And, how much of this, never mind people, how much of this darkness is caused by what we see on social media, what we see on the news on a nightly basis, or read in the morning newspaper, if people still actually do that? How much of this darkness is caused by what we are feeding our minds on a daily basis?
100%. Well, not 100%. I would probably say about 90% of it is influenced by the external. But it's a soft 90%, if you will. That the 10% of that is the subconscious mind, which acts on the things that are happening outside of us. And so the thing is that what we need to learn to do in these cases, first of all, is essentially nothing external to us should be able to perturb the peace and the harmony that we create within our body and within the mind. Because we are here on Earth, which means we're experiencing lots of contrast, lots of experiences, and it's going to always challenge us, because we're here to experience contrast. So when you're in the entire paradigm world, a matrix, a holographic matrix of experiences that are meant to trigger and make you feel through the senses, through the body, the emotions, the best way to learn how to navigate that kind of it's kind of like a video game. You can say, if you learn the key tools of how to navigate that video game, it will be easier for you. So learning the mastery of the emotions, learning how to come into a state of observer in order for you to embody bliss, that's the key. The thing is, we go to a state of observer in order to be able to embody peace, harmony, and we can only make space for peace and harmony when we come into neutrality. That's the thing. People think, well, I don't want to be stoic, and I don't want to be like, not have emotions. It's not about not having emotions. It's about being aware of where our life force is invested. And that's kind of the key. If we're aware of how we are investing our life force, you see, a lot of the energy that we spend, it's from the subconscious mind, and it's actually parts of us that are not even aware that we're judging things or we're feeling things. And that's because of a profound disconnect between our mind and our body. So cultivating mind-body connection is really one of the most important things that Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, we got disconnected. So one of the most important things is to learn how to cultivate that mind-body communication. And this way, it won't be challenging for us when we're navigating everyday life experiences. The outside world should not affect our emotional well-being, our physical well-being. Our DNA is literally encoded. It's writing the protein of the body that makes up this entire body, based on instructions, based on information and data that is input into the body. When we are in a constant state of survival, the cells of your body, they don't know that you're in survival. They don't know the difference between you being in an argument with someone and you actually, falling, in a roller coaster, or falling down a cliff, or, having a very traumatic experience like that. The body reacts. It produces the chemicals that it needs to produce in order to help, because it thinks it needs to be in a state of survival. And we need to be able to differentiate. We are the ones with our mind to be able to differentiate how we produce these chemicals in the body and whether they are productive or counterproductive for us. So if we're in a constant state of survival and stress, it causes illnesses, imbalances, and confusion. A lot of confusion, a lot of disconnect, where we no longer even, we don't know what's right and wrong anymore. We're so disconnected from ourselves. So I would say that to be able to navigate this earth plane is to get to know yourself. And you do that through meditation. We have to sit down and meditate and become aware of our emotions, experience them, see what they feel like. How do we react to every emotion?
Okay, so when you throw in ET abduction or ET contact, which adds to that stress level, how excuse me, how do you add in something that is that profound into your daily stress?
So, okay, ET contact is like next level, right? So, all right, so let's go there. So we talked about everyday experiences. Well, the wonderful thing about this is that because we're multidimensional, now ET contact, okay, interdimensional contact means that you are shifting in another dimensional plane. You are aware, you made yourself aware of another dimension. You are aligned vibrationally with another dimension in which you can navigate, experience something, and that experience is recorded within your body. It's recorded in your multidimensional body and encoded within your DNA, just the way everyday life experiences are encoded within the core data bank of your DNA. So what happens when we begin to alter brain waves and go into higher states of frequency when we are in dream time? We are having out of body experiences. We begin to detach from the physical body, which means that the body begins to spin, because our physical body functions like a toroidal vortex, that we begin to shift frequency in order to be aligned with this new dimensional plane. And this is where we have experiences with ETs, with orbs, with beings, with angelic beings. But you see, we're talking about the mechanics of that. We don't realize all of that. All of this can happen within one moment, within 1 millisecond. Now, that's the back end. Now, let's talk about the front end. Regardless of which dimension you're navigating, the same rules apply to the mechanics of your physical body. So when you are in this realm and you are interacting with, let's say, a very, very beautiful ET experience or interdimensional contact, there are aspects of your DNA that are activated, and the whole holographic system of your body is aligning to a very specific vibrational frequency that allows you to process these experiences. Now, in contrast, lower vibrational experiences, like let's say pretty heavy draconian experiences, something very traumatic, you're also aligning to that. The role that the subconscious mind plays in the kind of interaction that we're having is huge. And it's not just limited to our belief systems in the subconscious mind. It is something that is encoded within our DNA and produced and stored and expressed over generations, which means that we have within our genetic code the kind of contact that we're going to experience in this lifetime, just the way we have repetitive cyclical trauma that runs through our ancestral lineage. We also have this kind of ET experiences encoded in our familiar genetic bank. So, but regardless of that, the way we navigate and handle ourselves in this contact experience, the rules are the same. And this is why, for centuries, ancient cultures have been training themselves to learn how to leave the body, to train their body in these alchemical practices. And remember that alchemy is not about metals. It's not about turning lead to gold. It's about the transmutation of life force within the body that allows the body to spin at higher rates, shift brain waves, and be able to align in order to navigate interdimensional planes. And the process to that is exactly everything that I'm talking about here. All of these conversations about emotions, all of the conversations about mastering awareness are the number one foundations in order to begin to learn how to do that in interdimensional contact. So there's a very profound connection, and we are working towards that direction because that's the direction that we're headed as a collective humanity.
Very cool. Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You continue here on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine, for those of us who are wanting to connect to our higher selves, for some it's easy, others it's very difficult. Where do we start? How do we start to gain that path towards oneness within ourselves and then eventually building up to potential ET contact?
Yeah, and for many, especially right now, and I mean, many people are becoming aware of the conversation of ET because it's coming into mainstream, because we are definitely headed in there as a humanity, because that's what's next for us. We have space programs. We have, the government has its own little program. We have many space stations that are starting to get put out there, and information about other planets and other programs that we've been talking about for a long time are kind of surfacing to the surface now for us to begin to link the dots that ET contact has been here for a very, very long time. But now it's being available for the populace, the average person that hasn't paid so much attention to that needs to pay attention to that, because that's where we're headed. So what that means is that our education about our multidimensionality is essential, because if we don't understand how to navigate that, once again, as every generation that is blind spot when we're coming into a major push in technology and evolution, we basically have to go into a state of submission to a very small group of elites that are managing very specific programs and agendas to suppress information for the collective. And so that's never productive for us. So our education about ET contact and the interdimensional is not only the survival of humanity moving forward, but the quality of life. We're trying to shift from survival into a quality of life for every human moving forward. So this is how serious it is, because pretty soon you guys will see in the next 3-4 months, there will be a lot of new scientific discoveries put out. There will be a lot of changes. And in the next 2 years, we're going to leap majorly forward with artificial intelligence coming out into mainstream along with other really, really important things. So that means that we have to get ready. We have to prepare our minds to be able to go beyond, so that when that conversation comes out to the surface, we don't have a paradigm shattered and we find ourselves in a big, huge disconnect of, helplessness and unsure how to navigate. So all of this begins, again, with understanding the human body, how to navigate everyday life, cultivation of life force, awareness and mastery over the emotions, and beginning to navigate dream time. For centuries, training for death is one of the most important things that people have been training in order to begin to access navigation in out-of-body experiences. Military has been studying and utilizing these very same techniques and weaponizing them in many different ways through history. So this is not something that is new. It's something that has been suppressed and utilized as an instrument. And it's something that every human needs to begin to access and train. The more we understand that we're interdimensional, the more we will no longer feel alone, and the more we will begin to pull away from this illusion of separation and individuality. Individuality, the whole concept of individuality, has been weaponized in a way that we believe that we need to be independent, that we need to be disconnected. Our social structures in families are created and designed in a way where families will be broken eventually. And we have to become separate, like the children have to leave the house, and there's all of these little cultural systems that create fragmentation and compartmentalization of belief. That's going to be changing, and it is, and it has been changing. But with technology and with, communication, we're beginning to bridge these gaps between what we thought was optimal way of living in societies and what will be productive, going for the future. So I guess to close up this comment about training for death and to help ourselves navigate these realms, we have to ask ourselves as humans, do we love ourselves enough to be compassionate with the kind of changes, to prepare for the kinds of changes that they're going to be in the world in the next couple of years? And what are we doing with our children? Are we educating and preparing, our societies for this next step? It starts individually and it begins to grow out into the families and societies. But this is a leap that we will be pushed into if we don't compassionately, gently work on, every day.
Right. And I can see that. But for people out there, is it a mental issue that they have to overcome, or is it a spiritual bridge that they have to cross?
So, these are two different faculties or systems of the physical body. The mental is the one that sends the signals for the physical body. The spiritual, we can say, is everything that is non-physical, that is interdimensional. And how do we bridge the gap? And of course, we're discussing the soul. How do we bridge the gap between that? Our DNA is the connection to the soul. So every action, we understand epigenetics, every action and choice that we make in our everyday lives, including the food that we're eating, the emotions that we're feeling, reactions, judgments, every single one of these things that we're doing is affecting your genetic code, which affects directly your soul essence and how it's incorporated in your body, how we are integrating that into the physical body. So there is no separation between your everyday awareness with your everyday actions and your ability to navigate these higher realms. The practice of becoming more aware in the physical everyday life is the ability to navigate dream state and any kind of other interdimensional experiences. Remember that interdimensional contact, it's very personal because it's very much based on vibrational frequency. And as the veil is thinning, as we are moving through evolution collectively, that frequency is going to broaden to more humans on Earth. So more people are going to be seeing these things. So that means that we are learning how to shift our bodies into higher dimensions of existence, and it's multifaceted. It is emotional, which then can also be spiritual because everything that you feel is encoded within your genetic code.
Okay, so is this where the law of attraction kicks in, or the law of one, or is it
Um,
completely on a spiritual?
it's not completely different, but those are some variations of some truths that have been practiced for a very long time. Learning what it means to become magnetic is very much a physical, a bioelectrical function in the physical body. Okay, that means how do you become magnetic? How do you magnetize? How do you attract? How do you come into resonance with things that you're experiencing? That's very much a bioelectrical function in the body. So the higher vibration we have, which means the higher emotions, the more neutrality in order to feel bliss we sustain within the body, your vortex spins faster so you can navigate higher dimensional planes. This is basically how it functions. So it's a very interconnected system.
Geraldine Orozco, the spiritual you, we got like 30 seconds left. I mean, when we take a look at ourselves internally, how do we, in 30 seconds, how do we prepare ourselves for this? What do we got to do?
So simple. Come into neutrality and learn how to come into bliss, state of ecstasy, or orgone energy, orgasmic energy. Learn how to come into that state constantly. So that right there should give you a very strong idea as to what we need to begin to shift in our lives to reach that state.
Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Geraldine Orozco and the spiritual you. We have Geraldine for one more hour here on Spaced Out Radio. And if you're in one of our chat rooms, make sure you put your questions in capital letters. I will get them to Geraldine for you as they start to build up. You never know where we go with Geraldine. This is why I love this monthly conversation with her, because it just makes my mind wonder. The possibilities are endless. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We'll be back right after this. Beautifully said this half hour, Geraldine. Beautifully said.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you so much.
All right, we got 6 minutes. We'll turn it over to Dirty Filth, and I'll be right back.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, great. I actually have to grab some water really quick. It'll take me like 2 seconds. I put some sparkliness in there and I can't do it. Right back. It'll be a quick like a bunny. Because you can't have contaminated water for your watercolor. You can't mix acrylic and watercolor in the same dish. So I was just saying, you can't mix acrylic and watercolor paint in the same dish, but I had to because it's just what I needed to do at that point in time for the cartoon. There we go. Alrighty. What do we got here? Looks like a UFO. What's it beaming up? Probably a cow. Is it going to mutilate the cow? I don't know. I don't hang out with aliens. Alrighty. On to the inking, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great night. Wrangle some beers. Well, I don't know, Brown Dwarf. I'm going to my dad's tomorrow, so definitely Brown Dwarf. I'll drink like 7 beers at my dad's just for you tomorrow. I'll be like, Dad, Brown Dwarf said I gotta drink 7 of your beers. Looking at point of action here. Let's go with the old number 4. Trusty number 4. Can never go wrong with number 4. Still a little slimy though. Also, hello, Bomber. I forgot to say hi to you. I'm not typing it in tonight, so I had to hang up the vine on my trellis. It looks nice though. Oh yeah, I gotta send you a picture of that. Nonetheless, I had a great big vine on the side of the house. People cried about it, so I had to move it onto a big fancy trellis and the pops that I made. All right, here we go. Ooh, the old inking action. Not sure if that red is dry enough. It is not dry enough. Survey says it's not dry enough. We're not dealing with it. Carry on under the stars. Lasting longer than some companies with stars involved in their names. Yeah. Excuse me. Alrighty. Get those clouds done. Whoops. Forgot some of the clouds on the other side there. That's what happens when you're working at nighttime. That's all right. Nobody's going to notice. Add that cloud in there just like that. Everybody's worried about whatever Bob Berkins is doing, so nobody's seen that. Whoops. Look at that. Everybody's carrying on. Life is good. You know, I'd like everybody, next time you go to the store and you're going to go buy a Slurpee, I'm just putting it out there in the world like a $5 bill is rolling down the road. Hits you the big toe. Because you'll be wearing sandals, so you'll feel it. Unless you don't live over there. I'm pretty sure everyone in the world right now is probably wearing sandals. Unless you're in Vostok in the Antarctic. That's where I'm going to move to. It's like average summer temperature high, like minus 30 some odd degrees Celsius. I could take that. I'm good with that. Plus, that's where all these. Yeah. This is one of those.
Looking good,
UFOs.
Looking good.
I was just saying, Dave, I'm moving to Vostok in the Antarctic where it's like minus 30 some odd average summer high.
Why?
Because that's good, comfortable weather there. None of that sweating and terribleness. But I'll have a vacation home in Vegas, so
Nice. Let's say hello to the Desert Clam. And
Clamster.
who else is joining? Gorgeous D. Swiger has saddled on in. Mark D. Truth Seeker, welcome back, buddy. And who else is joining us here a little bit late? Mike Bothwell, thank you for joining us. And we got like 20 some seconds left. So big thank you tonight to Kira, Science Bob, Siobhan, and 405er for the super chats. Hi, Mennonite Abe. How you doing, buddy? And Von Patrick as well. Kanga Anon, welcome back. And it's good to have you guys here. Super chat is open. The store is open. Let's make this happen in hour 2. Here comes Geraldine.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. ADAFA. ADAFA is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, as well as TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Geraldine comes in near the beginning of each month to hang on out and be with us as we talk about everything that is Zen, Chi, and whatever else joins us, like, who knows, maybe some alien contact. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. Geraldine, welcome back.
Hey, thank you.
Good to have you here. Always a pleasure. And I want to say welcome because, you know, you are someone who is looking for the ultimate answers, the ultimate results on how to help people become the best that they can be. And I'm wondering for you, Geraldine, how do you keep your own energy up when you're dealing with so many people and helping so many people?
So one of the things that really fascinated me early on was learning about life force. Before I even knew any of this, before I even had contact experiences that were completely visible and conscious and, you know, in the physical, at a very early age, I learned about Qigong. And Qigong is the mastery of life force and the cultivation of life force. People that practice martial arts utilize Qigong in order to redirect energy or blows, or, you know, for personal defense. They utilize this in order to learn how to defend themselves energetically. But remember that we live in an energetic world. Everything is energy. I am made up of energy, you're made up of energy. So when we are in a room together, we feel each other's energy. We know intuitively when someone is having a bad day, when someone is feeling good, when someone's feeling bad. And we have the body, because of the way our body functions, to absorb all of that into our body when we are unconscious. So when I learned that my level of consciousness, awareness, affects the amount of life force that I can either cultivate or drain out of my body, this is what helped me learn how to even hold space. I don't call myself a healer, and I don't really, the only thing that I'm doing with people is holding space. And in order to hold space, you really need to know how to cultivate your life force. Because if you don't, healers or people that are in the healing modalities or helping people, they become drained, they get illnesses, all kinds of things happen. And I've experienced myself every time that I, for some reason, went down in my energy cultivation, I ended up sick or something happened to me. So I'm not only not speaking out of, something that you learn about, but experience firsthand. So after enough times of feeling the up and downs of these kinds of experiences, you begin to learn that neutrality is the key. Coming into a state of neutrality is the key to cultivation of life force. And this is what helps me come into my state of balance internally, regardless of whatever is happening internally, externally. I maintain a certain core foundation. And this is what I teach, and what many of my students and clients that I work with are utilizing in changing their lives as well.
I have a few questions for you from the audience to kick things off here. Let's start off with Joe, who is asking, Geraldine, have you ever had a horrible alien encounter that you could tell us about?
Okay. Some of my earliest memories at the age of 5, 8, and 8 years old, very early on, were encounters with draconian beings. And I vividly remember being in the presence of these draconian beings, and what they feel like is, if you can think of all the most horrible things in the world, they emanate this very, very heavy, dense energy, extremely dense. You can feel it from someone that is feeling hate towards you, for example. For those of you that have felt someone feel hate towards you, you feel that's what that would feel like, as a reference. However, in those experiences early on, being utilized for hybridization programs and other kinds of programs, those were traumatic in that I didn't know how to make sense of them, right? I was put in chairs that looked like dental chairs, and I was implanted in the physical body with technology. And all of those memories of those experiences became more and more vivid in detail the more aware and conscious I became. What it helped me is that creating a strong foundation of understanding of my emotions at a very early age, well, at least in my experience lifespan, helped me create a strong foundation in how I dealt with the memories of those experiences. And I also learned how to reintegrate the fragmentation that was caused by these traumatic experiences. I've had more than one encounter with draconians. I've been in draconian crafts and motherships, and I understand the interconnected connection between the hybridization programs and the draconians, as well as government programs. And it goes very deep. But their interest is in DNA, because DNA is the source code of the soul. The utilization and control of the human and their soul is very important to these parasitic life forms. And it's not just them. There is a tremendous interest of dark shadow governments of our own world that also capitalize on that life force just as well. So this is my take on it, and it hasn't affected me so much emotionally, because I worked on my emotions really heavy on.
Do you feel that you have residual energy that you haven't dealt with regarding these situations?
No, not at all. When it comes to them, I think that in 2017 and 18, when I started to become very public with this, I had to go through another learning curve of dealing with government experiences and people within the ET community itself. That was actually probably more traumatizing than dealing with the beings themselves. So I think that once I learned how to navigate that, it really kind of changed my perspective, you know. And again, when you understand good and bad, neutrality, compartmentalizing things, you can then experience freedom. And I'm only speaking from experience. So yeah.
Sandra would like to know, what kind of DNA are they looking for?
So DNA is the data bank and the connection to all aspects of soul. What is soul? It's life force. Soul is what we call life force. Um, Life force becomes fragmented as it comes in, and it's expressed in different ways in every dimensional plane. When it comes into the third dimensional plane, which is what we are, we manifest these physical bodies. There are many layers to us that are interdimensional fragments. All of those fragments are projections of our DNA source code. The DNA that we talk about in the human in the earth is a genetic data bank of history that is connected to the ancestral bloodlines and historic timelines of this earth. But there's also holographic DNA, and that holographic DNA is the data of the information of yourself and fragments outside of this three-dimensional plane. So let's say past lives, future lives, ET aspects of yourself, angelic layers of yourself, until going up to your highest expression. That is all an expression of what else is encoded within your DNA. So this is what makes DNA incredibly valuable. And the DNA programs, I mean, genetic modifications of humans have been done for centuries since the origin of conception of life. We are currently being genetically modified by our society with the foods that we're eating, social, structures, manipulations, and things that are occurring are also influencing that genetic data. So our lack of awareness of ourselves makes us very easily manipulated and falling into some of these cyclical patterns. The reincarnation cycle is also part of that matrix utilization of dormant DNA. Because when we don't activate as many strands of our DNA as possible during our lifespan, it's very easy to come back into the reincarnation cycle and to continue to embed further into the genetic history of Earth. When you look at the bigger picture, there's nothing really wrong with that, because we exist simultaneously in all dimensional aspects. However, ancients have been training in becoming conscious in death, specifically for the reason to begin to consciously travel and experience other dimensional planes. Consciously, because you can only do that consciously. If you're unconscious, you come right back into the reincarnation cycle. So this DNA is a cocktail of all aspects of ourselves, all alien species that are genetically modified to create who you are. And that becomes very valuable because it allows any new organism that's created from that genetic data becomes a portal in a way to not only your history, but the history of the ancestors that are linked to that genetic data. And this is what the hybridization program is about. It's sustaining that life, holding on to that soul within this three-dimensional plane. And
All right.
yeah.
Well, let's move on to the next one here. And this one comes from Mr. Catfish. We come to this unknown life. We are lost in this unknown world. No memory of the previous life. Was that the plan? Why was I sent here?
Okay. So this is a pretty heavy question because in order to answer this question, we have to kind of create a basis of understanding of what it means to be human, what it means to be in a physical vessel called Mr. Catfish 2100. Okay. So many things, not only your ancestors, which are fragments of yourself, had to go through cycles of cause and effect, and things in the multiverse, this universe, have come together to manifest your life expression. So this is not something that's even planned. I mean, it's embedded within your existence is embedded within the architecture of this entire multiverse. That's how, um, what's the word? Deliberate your existence is. There is nothing in this multiverse that doesn't have some kind of purpose. And if the more you understand the mechanics of creation, the more you understand that. So once you get that, when you incorporate into the physical body, you are encoded with specific expressions of your genetic data, which either allow you to remember past lives or don't. And everything that you are and aren't is designed to carry out the opportunity that you have to end cyclical patterns in your ancestral bloodline of suffering, of limitation. Anything that limits your soul expression is an opportunity for you to change and shift. Not only heal yourself and have your best life, but also begin to shift your ancestral lineage and the collective whole. And we see this because we're beginning to understand what ancestral trauma is. We're beginning to understand how to heal that. We understand the effects of it. They are collective. It is not localized. When we heal ourselves, and this is something that now science is now understanding, that every effect in our physical body affects 10 generations ahead. Every choice that you're making. So we ourselves are participating in the genetic modification of your own bloodline, of your descendants. So this is how important your awareness in this life is. And there isn't one purpose for you specifically, other than to come into your healthiest, most vital longevity expression. That's really what it is. So if you can kind of focus on that, it will be very easy for you to understand, why and how you're here.
Excellent. Have you figured out why you're here yet, Geraldine?
Same thing, to be healthy, happy, vital, bliss. That's it.
But what if you're really happy when you have a nice, big, thick cheeseburger with bacon and lettuce and fresh tomato and mushrooms and onions? That there's not much better heaven than that, Geraldine.
Okay, that's great. If that's your bliss, then you gotta do it, right?
I
But
would
you
die.
gotta also, but at the same time, you gotta ask yourself the question: is it true that there's nothing more blissful than that?
That
Is it
is
true?
that's pretty godly. I will tell you that.
Come on,
It's
you
pretty
gotta
godly.
ask yourself.
Look,
Yeah.
I know when we went out for dinner in San Francisco that I was trying to protect my girlish figure. I didn't want to eat too much and look like a slob in front of you. But I mean, realistically, old Davy could pound a good burger like that.
Yeah, that's great. We have to do what's really great for us. That's it. That's where I'll leave that. Whatever that is.
All right, let's move on to the next question, as we got about 4.5 minutes before we have to take a break at the bottom of the hour. Let's go to Raz. This militarized threat assessment for contact, why do you believe it's so negative?
Militarized threat assessment for contact. Militarized threat
Basically,
assessment.
disclosure.
Why do I believe it's so negative? Well, here's the thing. I mean, we have so many systems that would kind of, well, the theory is if you put out their ET contact, you're going to have major chaos, right? They say religions are going to go out the window, science is going to go out the window, so many things. Now, do I think that is going to happen? I think that our human race is portrayed by the media to seem weak and ignorant and incapable of dealing with these things. And we're programmed to believe that we are incapable of dealing with these things. But many of us around the world have already become aware of a lot of these systems that they're being protected are not really, meeting up to the standard that they even set for their own self. And we're seeing that with science, with medicine, with all kinds of things over the past couple of years. We've woken up to that for a reason. We've needed the dehabilitation of those systems in order to begin to create a ground foundation for, okay, well, if that's not working, what's next? And I think that ET contact, interdimensional contact, is the next step. It's going to open the door for new technology, a shift in our sciences, a new understanding of culture and how we see ourselves as consciousness, which is very important that we have that conversation. What is the soul? What does it mean to be conscious? What kind of organism can sustain the kind of travel that these UAPs are, doing in space, in the skies? So everything has to kind of begin to shift. Now, the average person probably, I don't know if they put all of those questions together, but that's where we're headed, and that's where we all need to have those questions. So, I really don't think that we need to buy the narrative that it has to be negative. I think that we have to do our own due diligence and educate ourselves, and listen to contactees that are very familiar with technologies and an understanding of interaction in these dimensions. This is why so many people are coming out now.
And I agree with you when you say that. But I do believe there is a large portion of the population that is going to have a lot of trouble within themselves of being, how can we put it, ready or conscious for any type of contact. I mean, I look at people in big cities, and I was just in Vancouver last week, and watching people walk around like zombies with their earbuds in and their cell phones going, and their noses in the air, because Vancouver is a very snooty city for those who've never been there. I look at people like that and I'm like, you have no clue. You have zero clue on what's really going on here. And I think the government is ready to say, look, we're, with ET contact, whether it's positive or negative, we're going to lose some people on this planet. We really are. Not to abduction or anything like that, but just due to stress, due to the handle fact. And it's a scary thought, Geraldine, as we got about 35 seconds.
Well, I think that we're told how to feel, though. I really want to point that out. So I think we need to begin to make an assessment based on how we would be without being the influence of being told how to feel and how to think. I would like to give our human race a little more credit. I think that a lot of people are ready. I really do think so. But let's see. I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see.
Because Dave is totally on the opposite side of the spectrum with that one, but that's okay. That's okay. We're allowed to be, and that's why we have these awesome conversations right here on Spaced Out Radio with Geraldine Orozco. We have her until the top of the hour, where we'll continue with your questions. We'll continue hanging on out with the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco. GeraldineOrozco.com is her website. We'll make it happen right after this on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We got 5 minutes, Geraldine.
All right. I'm going to go grab some tea and I'll be right back.
Do that.
Thanks.
I'll just hang out here with Dirty Filth. There you go, Filth. You got the full screen. Nice move.
I'm trying to put the stuff in place here.
Oh, you got stuff in place?
Always.
Very nice. Very nice.
There it is. Look at that. There we have it. Moo. Right beside the Phoenix Lights. Maybe it was just the Phoenix Lights. I'd like to know what the statistics on how many cattle were lost or died or disappeared around the time the Phoenix Lights showed up. Who's done that? Nobody. Work on it, people. Anyway. Sorry, we're out of here.
Well, you're just dropping elbows with stuff like that.
Steel chairs to the heads, but I wonder if anyone's looked into that. But yes, there we are. Moo the moo. Poor guy getting picked up.
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Previously, the secret drawing, anyone seen it, was a triangle. Hello, Blob.
How's Blob doing?
Blob is coming up to be supervisor.
Hey, Dry Toast, best name on YouTube right there. And who else has joined us here? Why did you mute yourself there, Dirty? Just because I talk.
There's a helicopter flying around my house. So.
You got searching for aliens?
Yeah, probably. I can't speak about how many people are in my basement or my attic.
Mm-hmm.
Reptilians and gray aliens and mantids.
They love you. Hi, Lunar Tina. They love you, Dirty.
Well, oh yeah, I should say thanks to everybody for watching these cartoons. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled by all the nice things that everybody says about them. I just figured I'd come in here and people would be like, it's too bright, it's too dark, I can't see anything. There's a damn cat in the way. That only happened like one time. I apologize, Dave. I made sure the cats have a leash now. They can't get onto the screen.
Well, look at that. Look at that. Mike Bothwell is asking, is there a website you sell your artwork on, Dirty?
Filthy.com, as always.
Filthy.com.
Filthy with a... For fuck's sakes. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Man, that is awesome. That is awesome. Dirty. That's why you're dirty, buddy. That's why you're dirty.
Yeah,
right
I got the cats under control, he says. Unbelievable. At least it was during break, so you can't be too mad at me. Oh, boy. Wow.
Just boom. Just boom. Justin Michael, welcome to SOR chat. And
we don't normally talk like that in the chat room, I promise you.
Good morning, Chris.
I'm going back to mute.
Tony, I don't know how the press conference went yesterday. I have not seen it. Yeah. Joe Monk says you got to draw Lola protecting Dave from the aliens.
Put it in writing, send it to filth at filthy.com. I don't know. Just get a hold of Dave. I don't know.
Yeah. There's Magnus Magnuson showing up tonight. All right, we got like 35 seconds. Geraldine's probably like, what the Sam hell are these guys talking about? YYJBBK. Saying that you're in what were you in Vancouver for last week? I was there for a concert. The concert people were nice. I've spent too much time in Vancouver, my years in radio. I'm jaded. Thank you to Kira, Bob, Siobhan, and 405er for the awesome super chats. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And the super chat continues to be open. And here we go with Geraldine and Dirty coming up here right now. Past the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Good to have you with us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Geraldine Orozco and the Spiritual You. Geraldine comes in near the beginning of each month, talk about all the Zen and Chi we can handle. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. As we continue on, Geraldine, thank you so much for being here again.
Hey, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here.
I know. We love you around here. We love you around here. We do. YJ is asking you, Geraldine, can you explain how or why sleep paralysis is used on people by ET and or entities?
Okay. Well, it actually isn't. Sleep paralysis is not used by ETs. What is used by ETs is the disconnect of the nervous system through the back spinal cord in order to completely paralyze them, but it's not the same thing as sleep paralysis. Okay. And I would like to differentiate that only because researching several different kinds of contactees, what I have found is that people that have contact experiences are often in in-between states. But sleep paralysis is literally your entire body becoming numb, and then your brain wakes up, and then you start having images. You can start having images, and you can start navigating these other. This is a form of navigating interdimensionally, but it's not always connected to ET contact. The kind of technology that's utilized in ET contact to create paralysis in a body in order to mobilize them is different. It's not doing the same thing. And sleep paralysis is induced sometimes or numbed, the numbing of the body through drugs, through military abductions, and that's a completely different thing. It's a different kind of side effect. It's a different reaction when they wake up. But in abductions or in contact, the body is literally merging into another dimensional plane. So sometimes when the person wakes up or becomes conscious of that, they are not able to move their bodies. But this is often due to implantations that are done within the body, usually behind the ears, behind the neck, down the spine, that are basically severing the connection between the nervous system and what they're able to move in their body. Why is it utilized? Because it's easy to, when we are interdimensionally traveling, the physical body is sometimes going with the person, the contact experience, but sometimes the body doesn't even have to go for the contact experience. Because some of this interdimensional travel is done out of body as well. So we have to keep that in mind. There's different kinds of contact as well. Yeah.
I want to ask you, how often do you leave your body?
For astral projection?
At any time, whether it's by astral, whether it's by extraterrestrial?
Mm-hmm. Well, every night, I'm consciously traveling, doing something. I'm either interdimensionally traveling in dream state or astral projection. It's every single night.
And what do you hope to accomplish? Is that on your own travel, or are you traveling for a reason?
Yeah, well, I think most of us are actually more active in dream state than we are in our waking state. And most of us are carrying out and accessing many of our millions of fragments in other dimensional planes, doing all kinds of things. We have many agreements that we make, experiential agreements out of body, and we do them with, it can be different beings, it could be different dimensions, it could be past aspects of ourselves that we go and explore, we heal from, we integrate. Some people that are healers are sometimes healing other people's in their dream state, which is something that I do a lot. I'm traveling to other people around the world and working with them in my dream state, people that I don't know and people that I do know. So there's many things that can be done in the dream state out of body.
Okay, so when you're going astral traveling and you are taking off, what are your goals? What are you trying to assess on yourself?
I wouldn't say it's so much about a goal as it is training the ability to master navigation in out-of-body experiences. And again, this is something that has been trained for centuries, many ancient cultures. We have lots of beautiful artifacts and records of these kinds of trainings and books that were written about how to navigate the out-of-body experience in order to heal, reintegrate, become more conscious, activate aspects of yourself. Essentially, we're activating DNA. And your ability to become conscious in dream state allows you to, over time, create sovereignty of your genetic information and also your soul and where your soul is headed when you leave this lifetime. So what you do in the dream state is very important. And your ability to reintegrate as many fragments and to learn, to explore, to experience in those planes is essential to your soul journey, not just in this lifetime, but many lifetimes. Everything that you do affects all your simultaneous lifetimes. So you know, if I were to achieve anything, it's learning and it's experience, if anything at all.
Okay, so do you have any goals? Like take us through your going to bed process. Okay, you pull the hair up because it sucks when it gets in your face in the middle of the night. It really does. I know that from personal experience. But I mean, let's take us through the pace. When you go to bed, are you just lying down in your bed and going to sleep, or are you meditating beforehand? Are
Mhm.
you planning your astral travel on what you want to go through or experience? How does that work for Geraldine?
So for me personally, I meditate before I sleep, and it's in two parts. The first part is to clear my day and to let go of any heavy emotions or memories of the day. We should never fall asleep with any heavy emotion or unresolved things. It's very healthy to do that. It's very rejuvenating and allows you to quickly go into deeper states, brain waves, into REM sooner when you do that. So this also helps you have a more nourishing rest. The second part of the meditation is to begin to work on my energetic hygiene, be aware of I imagine as a bubble around my body, which is where my energy begins and ends. And I'm completely aware of where I have openings, holes, unaware parts of me, and I create total awareness of my entire body. I ground myself. And as I go into dream state, I set the intention for the night. What I'm uh, basically uh, going to do in that night and how I'm going to wake up in the morning. So for example, I'll tell you, if the next day I have a very, very heavy day, I basically set the intention that I'm going to recharge my body life force in a really powerful way tonight so I can have enough energy for the next day. And I do that usually, like for example, last night, because today I had like 3 hypnotherapy sessions and it's a really heavy day, right? And then I'm up here till 11. And so when you prepare yourself energetically, it programs all the cells in your body to begin to get ready for the day. So by the time I go into dream state, I train myself to, in dream, becoming conscious. And sometimes I will wake up several times in the nighttime and then go back asleep to allow myself go deeper and deeper and deeper in that.
Okay, so the fact that you get yourself ready and prepared, most of us, Geraldine, we're just trying to get comfortable in our bed and find the good part of the pillow.
Sure, I do that too.
Are you a cold pillow or warm pillow side?
I am cold pillow in the summer and warm in the winter.
I'm a cold
But
pillow all year round.
I
All
know, I believe you.
Yeah, like I'm the type of dude, Geraldine, where if it's like really cold out, I'll actually open my window and put my pillow up to the window, so that way my pillow gets cold, really cold.
That's so great.
Oh, it feels wonderful. It
That's
feels
so
wonderful. Let's go to Aussie Edge here. Geraldine, can you pick up in the astral and bring other people's health and emotions back to the 3D?
So something that I'm really huge on is learning energetic hygiene and also, laws of free will, respecting the boundaries of free will of all other people. So the answer to that, the quick answer is no, you shouldn't, because we need to be unless the other person asked you to assist them in the astral plane. It is not advised to tune into other people's energy in the astral plane, because oftentimes we can interfere in the spiritual journey of another person. So this is if you're a healer, you have to understand the laws of the universe, and the law of free will is very important. You have to understand that with being a healer comes a responsibility of profound awareness and compassion, in where you are able to assess when and how you can provide support for another person when they're healing. And sometimes it might not come out the way that you think it would. So that's where your intuition and level of connection and knowledge of yourself really comes into play in order to understand how you can best support healing. Now, if you're bringing healing for yourself, that's a whole different thing. And the answer is absolutely. We can access fragments of ourselves that are healthy, that have abilities, that are that have information, and we can bring that into the body. There's a lot of people that are tuning into that technology of healing the physical body through their contact. And I'm not talking about contact with other beings. I'm talking contact with your higher self. Because if you're interacting with other beings, that's a whole different topic, because there's always exchanges. Okay, this is something I'm really big that not a lot of people understand. Anytime you interact with another, you have to be aware of what the exchange is. We are one, meaning that everything is a part of you. But if you're interacting in a way that you're not conscious, there can be made agreements unconsciously that you might not like later. So there's ways to navigate and things that we have to become aware of when we're working on this level. It's a beautiful, powerful tool that every human can access.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful answer. And as we move on here, and I'm just looking at scrolling down for more questions here from our audience for you, and bringing up Angie's question back. What about this alleged story? And I've heard people talk about this before, that when you leave your astral body or astral plane, there is a potential that someone or something on the astral side can take over your body.
Mm-hmm.
Then you become not you.
Yeah, so yes, this is true. If it's true in what way? Let me explain. For example, people that drink alcohol, it's called spirits, because when you drink alcohol, you're suppressing parts of your awareness, and that opens you up to become a host for all kinds of parasites around you to kind of latch on to your energy source. Your energy source is your whole energy body, right? So when you're not aware of what's happening to your body, these kinds of parasitic aspects can attach and drain your life force. This is how we can get deeply depressed. This is how, I'm not talking about alcohol being a downer, a suppressant or a depressant, but I'm also talking about the other aspect of that, because many things, when we have imbalanced energetic fields, we can take on other people's emotions, we can take on belief systems, and we can even take on illnesses in the body. So this is how we understand that there is a way of maintaining sovereignty and protection in the body through awareness. And this is true for the astral plane as well, which is why I keep going back to the root, which is if you understand how to manage your emotions and your level of awareness, you can navigate all dimensional planes. Because in dream time, when you leave the body and a lot of people that do astral traveling, they're not taught the fundamental basics of energetic hygiene, and they start taking on all kinds of things. Because most of the time they're exploring, but they also have a subconscious belief of fear and also mistrust in themselves. They're going to go and explore weird things, and deep inside they don't really believe that they have power, or they don't really believe that they can protect themselves. So those core belief systems are obviously magnified in these other dimensions. Okay, so they become a resonant magnet to other entities that also believe the same thing, and therefore siphon your life force. So this is true. And so the more you become aware of your subconscious belief systems, the easier it is to navigate all dimensional planes, including those out of body.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And I appreciate that very candid answer for our audience tonight. So how do we then protect ourselves, or put a protection belt around ourselves, kind of like when you're parking in an apartment building, you have your own parking spot, and nobody can take that parking spot unless they get towed, right?
So totally. So this is what I learned through trial and error of navigating interdimensional contact. The only best protection is to learn to embody unconditional love. And this is why I started to understand the mechanics of the physical body. When you raise your frequency, when you not just feeling fake joy or pretend joy, when you enter into a state of bliss in order to feel unconditional love in a state of non-judgment, you are protected. Whenever you judge something, you immediately entangle yourself energetically, emotionally, and you create tears in your body. So many, I can go down an entire list of things that happen when you begin to judge things, because it defines, there's a cause and effect to everything, and you are energy, and energy functions in very specific ways. So if you're unaware of your body, if you're feeling fear, you're wide open. Okay, so coming into non-judgmental, unconditional love, bliss state, your vortex is spinning really fast. This is your most powerful protection. Not only are you not in resonance with low entities, but you can travel further. You can become conscious. You can begin to master your navigation in those realms. And this is what a lot of information, it's suppressed. I don't know why. Of course we know why. It's control, and it's confusing people. But this is the answer after long times of cause and effect and lots of research to confirm. But ancient literatures all talk about the same thing. This is not new.
All right. Where did it come from then?
Which one?
Well, you said this is not new.
Oh my gosh. So, well, it's just, where did it come from? All of those people that have taken the time to activate their intuition and explore their bodies. If you understand the mechanics of how your body functions energetically, you understand how things work and how to navigate. So and don't even take my word for it. I want you to go and experience and explore and see if it's true for you.
4 minutes to go, as we're going to continue on. I'm curious about the astral travel thing.
Yeah.
What can you do or see? So let's say, for instance, tonight I said, okay, Geraldine, I'm going to meet up with you on the astral plane and we're going to go visit Jupiter. How does that work?
It's not so easy. And here's why. Astral projection has to do, first of all, for people, it depends on your level of awareness, and here's why. If you are not someone that's working on the subconscious programming or deprogramming subconscious programming, what's going to happen is that you're going to leave your body and you're going to be in resonance with the venting out of all of the suppressed subconscious things that you haven't dealt with. Okay, these are just the mechanics of your navigation. So it's not just that two people can just intend to go on. There has to be some kind of mastery, some kind of work that goes into that. Okay, so once you clear that stuff, then you can start kind of directing how you're doing it. And first, people train. I was just talking to a friend of mine who does this very, very often. They trained how to, just like the movie Inception, they have a little dreidel, or they have something that they remember, or they have a marker to remind them to check into. And if it's not working, let's say their cell phone doesn't work in the dream state, they know that they are dreaming. And so then they become conscious. Then they can begin to practice choosing where to go next. So it's like a muscle. You have to exercise it. You have to exercise the awareness in dream state and navigation, because it's almost like, how do I put it? It's almost like, remember Avatar, the film. The guy goes into the machine and then he has to figure out how to coordinate his hands and his arms when he's in this alternate reality, right? So it's exactly the same. You have to kind of learn how to feel comfortable in that kind of space, okay? Because the laws of moving are very different than the physical world. That's another thing. Energy and intention are what direct your experience on a very higher level than in the physical, more immediate, results. So every thought that you have in the dream state is also something that can manifest in the physical. And also you begin to learn how to interpret what you're experiencing in the dream state and in this navigation.
Geraldine, we have about 1 minute left. Where can people find your information?
Yeah, so if you would like to work with me, either with a DNA reprogramming or hypnotherapy, you guys can reach me at GeraldineOrozco.com. And I have lots of free content and programs on my YouTube channel at Geraldine Orozco, so please subscribe and share. That would be awesome. And my support group, for those of you that are contactees, can check out hybridmother.com. And we have a group once a month. So
And how many people do you have in that now?
I mean, I have hundreds of people that sign up, but the group amount of people that sign up shift per month. It's an amazing group. I mean, the people that are there are so awesome. We have the most incredible conversations every single month. So definitely, if you're a contactee and you want to learn more, you haven't talked about it to anyone else, this is a safe place for you to do so. Yeah, so it's really
Beautiful.
fun.
Geraldine, it's always a pleasure to have you on
Thank
Spaced
you.
Out Radio. We will talk to you in September, on the 6th of September, and I look forward to it, my dear.
Me too. Me too. Much love. Thank you so much, everyone.
You take care. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to head to the swamp. A resident swamp dweller brings us another spooky story. Then, yes, it's true, Super Duke is back with the Cryptid Report. We'll be back with an exciting next half hour on Spaced Out Radio. How much do we love Geraldine?
Oh, thank you guys. It was so fun again. Thank you for your incredible conversation. Love you guys so much. And Dirty Filth for your beautiful, beautiful artwork. Love you guys. I'll see you next month then.
We'll talk to you soon, my dear.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
All right, let's turn everything over to Dirty Filth, as he is the man, the myth, and the legend when it comes to the cartooning. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, geez. Secret drawing. Man in Black yelling at me for swearing on the radio show tonight. This is what happened. He came through a portal. It's basically what it looks like right now. Me standing there drawing cartoons. He's pointing at me. I can't turn the camera around. He won't let me. But yeah, that's the old bookshelf behind me. So you guys get a front row seat to my house. Over 1,000 books. I'm not kidding. Over 1,000 books. No word of a lie. And I do believe that I will meet my demise one day under an avalanche of books. It'd be a good way to go. Yeah, super secret drawing. Did one drawing, but it wasn't enough. Can't stop at one drawing. Gotta do another drawing. And then another one. Oh boy, it's a crippling addiction here. I think that needs some. I think the full moon needs some stars in there as well. Let's use up some of that nice fancy gold color. Oops, it's a little slimy there. I'm just slob with all my paint and everything. The water is just terrible. One day they're going to announce there's a water shortage in the world. They'll be like, some guy keeps bringing out ridiculous amounts of water to do it, fuel his late night. Oh boy, it's melting over there. That's all right. It's beautiful. It'd be like on CNN News. It'd be like, anyways, it's not important. Oh, I just love these watercolors. These are the best watercolors I've ever used in my entire life. I got my little test page beside me here, and every time I plank it, it's like, can't explain it. If you ever played with watercolors, you might understand. Went from spiritualness to watercolors. Now I gotta paint myself. Paint myself with some more paint on. Actually, paint the Spaced Out Radio logo first in the computer. Slap a little red in there. A little too much water. Getting rowdy with that water. That's the computer screen, by the way. 1080p. It's actually not that. I can't tell you what it is. I don't know technicals about computers, man. I just know where my cartoons are. And probably a little brown there as well. Just for the table. I don't know why I'm getting so detailed here. Sorry, Dave. I'm getting lost here. I'm trying to ramble away and keep people occupied, but I just keep getting lost in the artwork, and it just trails off. Like
You're that guy.
Like I got missing 411. So
I hear you. You're missing 411. You're dirty filth. The missing 411.
I am not the reason why people go missing in the forest. I have an alibi. I'm here like Monday to Friday from like 10 till 1 a.m. for the most part. That's my alibi. I'm standing with it.
Oh, yeah.
This is a super secret drawing, Dave. Here's the man in black yelling at me for swearing on the show. Wow.
Very nice.
I'm just gonna remove my microphone from now on.
No way. That was brilliant.
Terrible. Well, you know what? It could have been a belch.
It could have been.
Everybody swears on their shows anyway, so I guess swearing is more professional than belching at this point in time.
Truth. Truth. That's why you're awesome, buddy. You're not afraid to just throw it on down. You're not afraid.
I am dauntless.
Dauntless. Very nice. Very nice.
Everybody's just like plugging in dauntless into Google. What's dauntless mean?
I want to say a big thank you to Dry Toast, Kira, Science Bob, Siobhan, and 405er for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support that you give Spaced Out Radio. So thank you so much. And we're going to continue on here with hour number 3. Swamp Dwellers up first, then Super Duke joins us next.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. ADAFA. ADAFA is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It is that time of the night where once again we head off into the swamp. Our resident swamp dweller is here with another spooky story for us.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. So my buddies and I decided to go to a camping and hunting trip. Jeff decided we were going to go camping and we were headed out to the mountains of West Virginia for turkey hunting. My buddy owns this cabin and guys, it's fantastic. 2 rooms, a kitchen with a 19th century wood stove and an oven, and a back room with 2 bunk beds. I have lived there full time before, and it's just a lot of fun. We all brought turkey guns, basic 12 gauges, Mossbergs, and Remingtons, and of course our wealthy friend got a Bernelli M4 because he's not the brightest and it's all he had, quote-unquote. But we also took others. I took my Ruger, AR-556, a base model AR-15, and my Glock 19X. Why? 'Cause why not? I'm in the mountains, and I'm probably never going to see a turkey. Might as well just target shoot. Day 1, we drink. That had always been the intention. Turkey schmirky. We brought 6 cases of Miller High Life. Now I know it's not the best beer, but it is what we could afford. We also had a case of 1.5-liter bottles of Old Grandad. Now, I know what you're thinking. Drinking whiskey and beer along with guns is not a good mixture, but we don't mess around with guns when we drink. Now, after a beer or 2, yeah, we'll do some target shooting. But when the whiskey comes out, the guns go away. Shortly after those escapades, we all relieved our bladders and went to bed. Day 2. We had phones but no service, so we turned them off to conserve battery. It was around 11 a.m. when I first woke up. There was shuffling and scratching outside. I blinked around and I looked around my space as my eyes adjusted. I saw Kyle on the floor, Alex on the bottom bunk, and Jeff in the bottom bunk across the room. I glanced out the window and I saw something. It's hard to explain, and the easiest way to describe it is to say that it was a shadow. Just a shadow. So I went back to sleep. As day 2 actually began to start, we woke up, dressed in our hunting garb, and cooked eggs. God-tier sausage gravy on the antique stove like real men. As bad as the story gets, the breakfast was actually terrific. We got our turkey guns, all legal loadout, but for some reason, I can't explain why, I had 5 00 buckshot shells in my pocket. Sun comes up and there's no turkeys. The sun starts to go down and still no turkeys. We decide to call it a day and grab some drinks. Less than 5 minutes from the cabin, we hear this roar. All 4 of us drop to the ground like some troglodyte instinct type stuff. We tried to get to cover from whatever this thing was. We gather up and Jeff says, "I have no idea where that bear is, but it's got to be close. Stay low, stay quiet, and move quickly." We all nod and I pump the turkey load out of my gun. Every single pump sounded like a gunshot to me, and after every shot shell I loaded made the loudest clunk I had ever heard. We make our way back to the cabin, and I immediately give my 12 gauge to Jeff and pick up my car. It was just a bear. It was just a bear. It was just a bear. We all knew that was no damn bear. After nothing seemingly happened for about an hour, we emptied the 00 buckshot out of my Mossberg and put it in Alex's Bernelli. We were freaked out, but we were just hoping for the best. Night 2. We were all very well freaked out, but we were all well armed inside, and nothing else had happened for quite some time. We had water and we had beer. Eventually nature called and the cabin only had an outhouse. "Don't be scared, go pee." That was the last thing I ever said to Alex. We watched it happen. Worse, we heard it. We opened the window facing the outhouse to cover him. It was a half joke, you know? Nothing was supposed to happen. Nothing was going to happen. We watched him walk towards the outhouse, and whatever this was leaped on him. A shadow, a void, leapt on top of Alex and began tearing. My hobby is shooting, and I'm great at it. It took me a second to recover from the shock, and I opened fire. I hit this thing with every freaking shot, and it did not matter. It didn't matter enough. It drug Alex away screaming until a savage crunch ended the screams. The 3 of us stayed up all night, guns pointed out the doors and windows. Pretty sure we had all pissed ourselves at some point. I know I did. Day 3. We ventured out. Guns were drawn. We aren't military trained, so it probably looked more like MEAL Team 6 instead of SEAL Team 6. I'm still crying. We circle back to the outhouse in a loose triangle formation, and there is a lot of blood, a trail leading into the woods. We packed up our stuff and drove back to town. It took 2 hours driving until our phones got a signal. We called 911 and told them everything that had happened. They never found Alex's body besides the blood, and everybody says it was just a crazy, crazy bear attack. And maybe it was, but that must be one juggernaut of a bear.
The swamp dweller, always getting it done, spooking us out on a nightly basis. You can follow him at Swamp Dweller Reads on YouTube. So you go to youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. Go hit subscribe on his channel. It is well worth it. Thousands of stories just like that. And trust me, you will get spooked out. I listen every night after this show. Love the Swamp Dweller around here. I also love the Cryptid Report with Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. Yeah, Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio is here. His hair is down, his guns are drawn, and he's ready for any type of Wookiee that's going to come his way. How you doing, Super Duke?
I'll be your Huckleberry.
I appreciate that, my friend. You know, listening to your theme song, which is Glad to Be Here by Bumblefoot, I'm going to head north to see him.
Right.
Believe it or not, I can't get the guy to Vancouver. I keep bugging him. When are you going to play in Vancouver? When are you going to play in Vancouver? And I find out today he's playing in the Whitehorse or in Whitehorse, Yukon.
Oh, good God. Middle of nowhere.
On November 5th. But guess who he's playing with?
Huh.
Do you remember the Killer Dwarves?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's who he's playing with. It's
Oh,
a bunch
God.
of, yeah, it's going to be amazing. Going to be amazing. So, Mrs. SOR, she's actually originally from the Yukon and Whitehorse. I've never been up there. And little SOR, who is our resident metalhead, he's never been there either. So we're
National
gonna
Lampoon's Family Vacation with Dave Scott.
all to see Bumblefoot play live.
Oh, God. The setup for it, you just, look out, Dave.
It's gonna be trouble, but I'm telling you, man, I'm ready for it. I'm ready. I'm awake, and I am ready to make things happen. I want my little guy to party with Bumblefoot. That's what I want.
Sounds like a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Absolutely. We're going. How's the cryptid hunting going?
Oh, pretty good. I had to be super duke here at the apartment I live in today. I got a second floor balcony, and Sushi, the Wonder Dragon, likes to sit out there in his little screen tank and get himself lots of nice sun. And he's 10 feet in the air, so he can see the park across the street. Watch everybody playing over there. And right across from the balcony, there's a big tree. And at the same level where he sits, there's a whole bunch of branches that come out, and there's a squirrel that hangs out there all the time. And apparently it's kind of his buddy, because I come out a lot and see them staring at each other. Well, today I came out and the squirrel was looking very sad, and I looked at him a little more closely and went, what the heck happened to him? Something grabbed him and tore a big chunk of his hide off of his lower left leg.
Oh, no.
He is not walking or anything very well. And he's just kind of sitting there looking forlorn, like, uh-oh. And I went, okay, I got to go to the store and get stuff anyway. So I grabbed him a container of unsalted peanuts. And when I got back, he's, 10 feet up in the tree at least. I can't reach it. So I throw a couple handfuls up there. And of course, some of them lodge themselves in the crotches of the branches up there. And then I drop a bunch down at the base of the tree. And with a little while, he comes down, he finds them, starts eating all of them, and he looks down on the ground, Eureka! And he manages to clamber down there and eat as many as he can and climbs back up in the tree to rest. So that was my day today, squirrel rescue, plus turning out videos.
You are a hero.
This is how you get the animals to be your spies for you. You rescue them.
Oh, they let the word know. They do.
Yeah, it worked great with crows. You can get a whole flock of crows just from being nice to one of them.
Oh, yeah. I went to my gifting site yesterday.
Right on.
And that was the first time in about 6 weeks that I had been there. And nothing moved. Nothing. But the interesting part about it was I took Robin McRae's advice, and I took more than half of the gifting site down. I minimalized
That's my advice too, by the way. Yeah. You remember that.
Yes, I do. And so I minimalized it, like you guys said. The one funny part about it is I got this plastic ball out there, more of a foam ball. There's a little teeth marks out of it. I thought that was kind of hilarious.
Something was nibbling on it.
Something was nibbling on it, and obviously not a little Sasquatch or anything like that. But yeah, it was good. It was good, super duke.
I know someone left a little rubber dolly, like a foot or two tall, at one of their gifting spots, and it kept getting moved around. And they noticed pretty much every time they were there, it was missing a toe, another toe, like somebody was nibbling the toes off while they were dragging it around playing with it. But that was pretty funny. Oh yeah, last night I got contacted by one of my friends up in Alaska who wanted to let me know that the night before he had been driving around with one of his buddies on an ATV, and they were of course this is Alaska, which means the sun isn't actually going down there. It's almost midnight. They're down by this river and they see these tracks. So they stop the ATV and they go down to check them out. And they got a whole family of Sasquatch with all their tracks in the mud, everything from the alpha male 22 inches down to the juvies. Perfect tracks. They're so good. When Kelly Shaw from Rocky Mountain Sasquatch looked at them this morning, he immediately said, those are by far the best Bigfoot tracks I've seen in over a year. Because these are in the mud. They're perfect. And 22 inches ain't nothing to sneeze at. That's really big. The other thing that's cool is that this guy had actually already done this accidentally one time before, because he likes to go out and trail drive and go hunting and all that kind of stuff. And a couple of years ago, he was moose hunting. And in the process of moose hunting, they started running into all kinds of Bigfoot tracks. So when he could get signal again, he called me and went, Duke, what do I do? And I went, well, if you got the time, please go photograph them. If you have a tape measure, drop the tape measure, pretend you're a researcher for a day. And I was, do you have that much time on your moose tag? He's like, oh yeah, we can do it. My buddy who's with me is into the Bigfoot thing anyway. I'm like, okay, cool. So they spent the whole next day running around, filming everything, documenting everything. They accidentally got one on video as they were coming out, and the sun had almost completely set. And they're filming a little stick structure. And when you lighten up the video, you can see there's one about 15 feet behind the stick structure watching them. And they could hear him escorting them out. They didn't realize they got him on video. They also got another kind of disturbing thing where there was a track line that went across this kind of halfway dried up river basin, goes up an embankment, and then goes right past a vehicle, which wasn't parked there when they came in. So they went and checked it out, and there was a guy sleeping in it. So this Bigfoot went across the river, walked right past his car, took a look at him, and kept on going while he was sleeping.
Wow. I learned today that in my area, remember the guy I was telling you about that I met at my daytime office who had that big creature walk across the road?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he still hasn't figured that out. I don't think he will.
He's probably still pretty scared, too.
But he was telling me today that his buddies were out ATVing up on the mountain somewhere behind that area, and they came across an abandoned cabin.
Yeah.
The problem is the cabin's got a tenant, Duke. They opened up the door to the cabin because up here, most people leave their cabins unlocked. Like if they got a secluded cabin up on the mountains, they leave it unlocked just in case someone needs to run in there and say a bear comes in, or a grizzly bear or a cougar. You're trying to get away from, animals, or you're cold or whatever it may be. Well, the problem is something big has lodged in there, and there was about 8 feet of grass and debris that went up the along the ground and then angled up like a chair.
Did you film it?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, I would get there and film that. It doesn't sound natural at all.
Oh, they said the guy was freaked right out. Freaked right out.
Yeah,
So
you can also tell by the stank inside if it's a Sasquatch living in there or not.
Something's living in there. Just don't know what. Don't know what. Got to find it.
Something that makes nests.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. The next, actually, we have a special matinee on my channel coming out tomorrow. Unusual for that, Wednesday, and it's going to be at 8. And it's just a little 20-minute short. But basically what it is a breakdown of video that we filmed last month when we were up in Coloma. And one of my viewers was taking a look at it and found cryptids in it. So I had to go back and do a breakdown of it. And this is pretty cool. And I'm going to be bringing this up here shortly. Their ability to make themselves so that we can't see them, even when our camera can still pick them up, is really bizarre. And this is another perfect example of it. The first night that we were there, late Thursday night, we had just got there. It was getting dark. We set up camp. I had just barely enough light to go, okay, we set up camp, turn the camera around in the 360, do a slow pan around camp. Here we are. Here's what everything looks like. Camera's off for the night. Well, little did I realize that there was something standing behind a tree about 60 feet away, and the camera sure picked it up. I never noticed it. The next morning, Ashton is out there doing the same thing at about 9 a.m., doing a slow pan around camp. Everything's nice and light. And if you look in his video, you can see that same spot. There's nothing standing there. Whatever was there the night before isn't there. But it gets creepier. I'm still in my tent sleeping. And as he pans past my tent, about 30 feet behind my tent, there's the tree line. And there's this black blob right there on the edge of the tree line. And you're like, how is that shadow spot that damn dark? Well, it's not a shadow spot. He was sticking part of his left foot out into the sun. And if you look at the bottom of the shadow, you can see his left foot and his toes. He's got his knuckles down on his left arm, and he's got his left foot out actually too far into the sun, and the rest of him's back in the shadows just inside the tree line. And he's not even looking at Ashton. He's looking up the ridge line, which is where the adults are hanging out. Like, hey, notice that I'm right here in camp, and this guy don't even see me, even though he's filming me. Yeah, apparently that's what was going on. So then this is one of the funnest things that happens occasionally. I get fans of my show that are vacationing here in Montana, and they'll get a hold of me randomly and, hey, do you got time to go out? And I almost always say, yeah. So one of them had been here for 2 weeks and was ready to go back down to Oklahoma, and she calls me up, hey, I got to leave tomorrow, and do you have any time to go out? And it's like midday Sunday. Well, yeah, my show comes on at 7 my time, but until then, we got enough time we can run up to the ghost town of Coloma, place I was just talking about. So we run up there and we hike around for a couple hours, and then we decide to drive some really bad roads down the hill from the ghost town that we're not sure where they go, or really if we can turn around, or if we might have to back up the hill on this rutted logging road to get back out again. So we're fairly trepidatious about even attempting it. But finally we go down the trails and you find out that it actually splits, and then it splits again, and it splits in both directions multiple times. And there's a whole labyrinth of these little logging roads down there. Well, at this point, we're kind of running short on time. We got to get back to town for my show to be on air so I can be in the chat room. And as we're coming back, we go around this curve, and there's this game trail going up this steep mountainside. And I'm looking at it going, that is the most tore up damn game trail I've ever seen. I bet you anything there's a Bigfoot track on it. She goes, do you want to stop and check it? And I went, yeah, we got like 5 minutes. Let's check it out. So I walk up there. I take 3 steps up the hill. There's an 18-inch track. Take 2 more steps. There's an 18-inch track. Take 2 more steps. There's another 18-inch track. He literally ran down this game trail, and apparently it was wet at the time that he did it, because every single step he's sliding between 4 and 11 inches, and he sticks his toes into the hillside to stop him from sliding on every single step. You can see the toes perfectly. They've made craters that are 2 or 3 inches deep. And as it turned out, the reason this thing was so well beaten is because not only was it being used by the deer and the elk, but one of the ranchers had his cattle up there, so they're using it for a cow path too. So you know how hard a cow path is? It's like concrete. And this guy's running down the hill, sticking his toes 2 or 3 inches into it to stop himself from sliding every step. And I'm like, okay, you don't see this every day. So we got that on video. So that's coming out tomorrow on my channel. Make sure to check it out. And all the tracks that were found up in Alaska at the beginning of the week is coming out on my channel again, special show on Friday. So you guys can see that. So that's what's been going on with all the Bigfoot stuff this week.
That is awesome. We got 20 seconds left, Duke. Prepare us for a story next.
Well, what we're going to be talking about in the next segment is we're going to actually be doing the classic discussion of Bigfoot. Is it paranormal or is it flesh and blood?
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's not flesh and blood. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that right off the bat. You and I will agree on that one. We will agree. Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio, and here for the Cryptid Report. We love it when Super Duke is here. Stay tuned. Bigfoot, flesh and blood, or supernatural? What do you think? Let us know in the chat room. We'd appreciate it. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Good segment.
It's been active here, and it's going to get a lot more active. I got a bunch of people showing up this month, and one of them is the guy who put your channel up from 3rd to 1st favorite channel. Eric the Adventurer is going to be out here again. And he's
Well,
planning on
Jared,
spending
okay.
about a week here. Yeah, he's going to be out here for about a week. And I got
by
a couple other.
By the way, we're down to his second favorite show now.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I don't know. He changes number one shows like underwear.
He's probably just razzing you. Last time he talked to me, he said you were his favorite show because he was mad at Jimmy that day or something. I don't know what.
I don't know.
But yeah, he's super gung-ho and does a great job out in the field, has plenty of energy. So I'm looking forward to having him here again, run around, film stuff. He got a bunch of stuff on video when he was here last year. He's just flinging his camera around and up in the right place at the right time. He got one standing behind a tree about 80 feet away trying to blend. And he's moving along this ridge and filming it. And from every angle you're looking at this thing, you can still see it's there. It's just blending with the background. At a couple of places, you can see the whole outline of it. And other parts of it, it's like broken up. But you can see there's this object behind this damn tree standing there, leaning out, kind of looking at him. And right after that, he's got the piece of video that's got all the whistles on it, which is coming from roughly the same area where they're whistling at us.
I'd whistle at you, Duke, if I was in the forest.
Yeah, that was their thing the last time we were up there in September. They were just like whistle, 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 whistle. The only time they'd stop is when we were out in the woods. If we were in camp, they're whistling at us or pushing trees over. I did that twice. Apparently, we weren't getting out in the woods enough, and they were getting irritated because we were so lazy and hanging around camp a lot. Damn, uppity Sam crotches.
Get off my lawn!
You're supposed to be out here filming our structures and telling us how awesome we are. Quit sitting in camp, lazy damn humans.
This isn't a Lady Gaga concert. Your mother effing Sasquatch hunting.
Lady Gaga. All right, I'll be right back.
All right, dude. Got a few minutes here. How we doing there, YouTube? You having a fun night tonight? Get off my lawn, you crazy kids. See what Dirty Filth is doing. You're giving enough with the foul language, Dirty Filth. Figure it out. Look at that. Oh,
Yeah, I'm getting told now. I get to draw all the books in my book cabinet here because that's just terrible.
A lot of books.
If I didn't have so many books, I could have been gone to bed like 3 hours ago. But nope, gotta draw my books too.
Mm-hmm.
Enough of the foul language.
Ross Lambda, how you doing, buddy? Kevin, WIPF, how you doing, man?
I blame
Morning
the cats.
Star. Always blame the cats, man.
The cats made him do it.
Just like Blob knocked him off the air the other day.
Yeah, it's the cats.
And Blob is here right now, piled onto my lap, ready for another strike, no doubt.
All right, guys, we got 15 seconds. Thank you to 405er, Siobhan, Bob, Kira, and Dry Toast for the amazing super chats tonight. Very much appreciated. We're going to get into Super Duke's cryptid report here when we return in 5 seconds. Around at third, we're headed for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello, thank you, and want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on from World Bigfoot Radio. Super Duke Sullivan is here with the Cryptid Report. Duke, what do you got for us tonight?
Well, we were talking earlier before the break about Bigfoot. Is it flesh and blood or is it paranormal? And I already covered this subject on one of my shows with guest Robert Boston, Bigfoot in Germany. And we both pretty much arrived at the same conclusion. But rather than try and just rehash that, I'm going to read Tom Burnett and Rob Riggs' notes on it. And it's interesting from my standpoint. I've been doing this for 45 years, and for the first 35 years, I didn't think there was anything to the paranormal side of them whatsoever because I hadn't seen any evidence for it. And during the last 10 years, I've been seeing a lot of evidence. So at this point, it's like my mind is changing. I've now seen plenty of evidence that there's paranormal stuff connected to this. So now I do believe that there is paranormal stuff connected to it. And that's not, it's not a matter of me sitting around reading books going, by Jove, I believe they're paranormal. No, I'm out in the field seeing this stuff. And one of the good examples of that is the picture that me and Sonny got up at Coloma here a few years ago, where there's some object literally bending the light around it. We've shown that before. That's a good example of cloaking. NVTV on YouTube last week turned out a video that they purported to show cloaking, but actually what it shows is blending. It's a superb example of it. Somebody's got this black Bigfoot on video. It's not moving. And while he's got it on video, it just fades away. Now, if you're watching, you can see its outline still there. It hasn't moved. It just became the color of the background. That's blending. When they're cloaking, they go completely invisible. They can move around and you just can't even see them. Yeah, so very strange. So anyway, here's what they said. After years of studying, here we go. Although we can extrapolate how European research and telepathy among animals might apply to the supposed mental powers of mystery hominids, Sheldrake and the Russians' respective research efforts are obviously not specifically related to Bigfoot. However, considerable research has been done in Russia and that is specifically related to Bigfoot. And of course, I can also cite Dr. Igor Burtsev, who's been on my show, and Dr. Dmitry Bayanov, now sadly deceased recently, that are both scientists over there in Russia that have been working on the Bigfoot thing. Moreover, mainstream science in Russia is much more open to the evidence for the existence of Bigfoot-type creatures and also to the question of their possible psychic powers, that they're more so than their colleagues in the United States. And again, when I had Dr. Igor Burtsev on my show, I asked him about that. Why don't we have a body? Why is it so hard to get a decent picture or video of them? And he said, well, after 60 years of research, I've come to the conclusion they have some sort of paranormal abilities that we don't understand at this point. So anyway, this other doctor, after years of studying what she called a relic hominoid and organizing a dozen expeditions to remote mountains and forests, Maya Baikova, one of the leading Russian authorities on Bigfoot, or the Almas, or Leshy, as they're called in that country, come to some interesting conclusions. Her field work included documentation of the animal's ability to appear and disappear suddenly as if dissolving into thin air. The same ability was documented by American researcher Ann Slade and Alan Beery in their classic book, Bigfoot. While acknowledging it's a far-out theory, they wrote of ancient Indian legends and other unorthodox events during their own field research, which, quote, led researchers to suspect that the mind of the Bigfoot might indeed possess this telepathic hypnotic capability, unquote. They cite a number of cases around the country that suggest that the Bigfoot creatures can make themselves invisible through mind control or delusion of others. Of their own research, they write, there were times when it almost seemed as if the creatures could make themselves invisible and disappear in a split second. It wasn't a thought that any of the men warmed to or liked to discuss, yet inexorably it would surface. Were there spiritual or unknown forces at play? Tom has personally witnessed Bigfoot disappearing act. It was comforting for him to find out other investigators had witnessed or documented it, or he would have seriously doubted his own sanity. As it is, he's been challenged to understand this strange phenomenon. In my past experiences, even at times when I could tell they were close to me, I would approach them and they would throw their voices and make themselves seem to be invisible to the human eye. No matter how positive the situation was, by the vibrations I was feeling at the moment, they would let me know they wanted me to get only so close. At times when I was going to take them gifts, mostly food, they would appear in front of me for a second and seem to walk through a door in nature where they would just simply disappear, as if they were showing me their mastery of nature and physics as well. Physics mostly deals with natural phenomena like sound force, electricity, lights in nature, and they certainly seem to have that domain of their natural environment under their control in ways humans do not. Until mainstream science figures out that there are certain elements in nature we clearly do not understand, like the theory of multi-universes, for example, we will get nowhere in understanding the nature of these beasts. Baikova rejected supernatural explanations for this ability and favored instead the idea that mystery hominids possess an unexplained defense mechanism that makes them, quote, invisible, unquote, to humans. She explained this ability by saying the creature's, quote, camouflage is a biofield. She thought this was a case of psychological suggestion directed inward by the creature on itself, not outward. This idea was also proposed by her colleague, Professor Porshnev, who is also one of the eminent Russian researchers over there at the Department of Evolutionary Science, who further postulated that excessive psychic, nervous, or physical strain triggers spontaneous, natural auto-training that leads to a profound lethargic state in which all brain activity ceases. He theorized this does not produce complete physical disappearance, but does produce virtual invisibility in respect to would-be observers. The idea that the creature plays possum by stopping the activity of its brain and dissolves into its surroundings is an extension of its other camouflaging abilities. This sounds like how the ancient Apache scouts were said to hide in the blind spots of their enemies or intended prey. So, the paranormal versus flesh and blood research schism. Peculiar circumstances surrounding Bigfoot sightings have led to the notion that creatures are not physically real animals. The fact they often seem to vanish without a trace, as we have discussed, sometimes eluding extensive organized hunts after having been seen in a given area for a short time, on the surface supports the idea that Bigfoot are not only psychic, but maybe entirely paranormal. This situation has led to a schism among Bigfoot researchers and research organizations who have split into the so-called paranormal and the flesh and blood camps. Advocates of the paranormal explanation of Bigfoot express opinions ranging all the way from claiming the creatures are no more than phantoms to thinking of them as demon shapeshifters or interdimensional travelers. The flesh and blooders dismiss all these views as utter nonsense. They point to physical evidence, especially footprints, many of which have been authenticated by objective experts like Chester Moore and Jeff Meldrum, to support their stance that Bigfoot is just an undiscovered, although peculiarly elusive, species of ape. Those who hold this position fear an admission of any sort of paranormal aspect being involved in Bigfoot sightings, as it would reduce the entire subject to some kind of New Age fairy belief system and puts off any serious consideration by mainstream scientific study. This notion is not without merit, but it is not a confirmation of a holy cow belief system the two of us are seeking. We are not appealing to religious type faith or rank mysticism, but by the same token, we believe we should not let whatever our belief system is stand in the way of objective analysis of all relevant data. In fact, at one time, both of the authors leaned toward their own respective variations of the paranormal theory. It was clear to them that creatures at times are capable of assuming physical form, but it seemed like their ability to do so is limited, framed perhaps by unknown energy conditions. We considered it entirely possible Bigfoot is essentially a being whose source in nature is more metaphysical than physical, a spirit being, as many Native American traditions would say, with psychic powers. Along with the problem of detection, this strange energy connection and Bigfoot seeming to have psychic powers has led some writers and researchers to conclude in varying degrees that Bigfoot sightings are essentially paranormal manifestations, psychic events similar to dreams, and do not involve physically real animals. The late John Keel, as described in The Complete Guide to Mysterious Beings, thought the creatures are transmogrifications of the energy itself. In Spirit of Place, Dr. James Swan explains why he thinks the animals are spirit beings that sometimes manifest into this reality in the form of what he calls waking visions. Colin and Janet Board in Alien Animals refer to Bigfoot as being among the menagerie of what they call the, quote, alien animals, which sometimes frequent our planet. Bigfoot encounters, however, are not limited to sporadic window-peeking forays into small towns or isolated houses out on the edge of the woods. There's more to Bigfoot than confrontations with startled motorists on lonely country roads or lovers' lanes. It might be reasonable to think these kind of sightings were somehow intended only for the witness involved. But the fact is, Bigfoot evidence covers a broad range of what would seem to be normal day-to-day survival activities of a large primate. Suspect tracks have been found in isolated areas seldom visited by humans. Weird, hairy creatures coming forth from their mysterious lairs to pester humans might be suspected of being hoaxes or paranormal encounters, but in these cases, humans have apparently ventured into Bigfoot's territory. Huge human-like barefoot tracks have been found among groves of wild plum and hawthorn trees in East Texas, for instance, where there's evidence the creatures were foraging for food. There are similar accounts of such footprints having been found in the deep woods among the gutted remains of deer and feral hogs, whose internal organs have been removed and intestines have been pulled out and laid alongside the carcass. Judging from their broken hind leg and bashed-in skulls, they were apparently killed by being slammed against trees. There's no known animal that kills its prey in this way, and what normal human would be big or strong enough to thus dispatch a live 200-pound pig? This emphatically does not seem like the work of a phantom. All this evidence is enough to convince us Bigfoot is a physical animal and not a non-physical paranormal chimera. But if we are to be thorough in this inquiry, we cannot dismiss the observations of researchers like Keel, Swan, and Board. The animals are indeed frequently seen immediately after the appearance of mysterious lights, and as has been shown, they are definitely sometimes associated with equally mysterious blackouts and power outages, especially of vehicles. What confuses the issue is similar light and energy phenomena are also frequently associated with paranormal phenomena, such as classic haunting cases. The difference is that the case of Bigfoot encounters, physical evidence is sometimes lapped, whereas in paranormal events, it is not. Too often, when the creatures are said to have psychic powers, they are thereby defined not only as unknown, but unknowable. As we have seen from the above discussion of psychic research by European scientists, the mystery hairy hominids' mental and sensory abilities might be every bit as strange as those attributed to them by paranormal advocates. As we have also seen, however, we need not appeal solely to metaphysics to account for them. It is precisely this question that is a pivotal point where the non-productive schism of physical versus paranormal in Western Bigfoot research has historically occurred. The flesh and blood advocates must be given their due. However, too often advocates of paranormal Bigfoot seek to deify the creatures and set them up as the equivalent of the all-knowing, benevolent UFO space brothers who have come to save humanity. We are subjected to unsubstantiated claims of bedroom visitations of materializing Bigfoot, claims of personal psychic connections to Bigfoot. It is not our intention to open that can of worms. Even short of this extreme, paranormal models of explanation are frequently too quick to throw out the physical evidence and to abandon objectivity. Half-baked theories of shape-shifting and interdimensional travel are set forth with no basis in actual observation and are not experimentally verifiable. At that point, investigation and research end and speculation and belief take over. So in this sense, the flesh and blooders are correct. Speculation about the creature's alleged psychic abilities does tend to belittle the legitimacy of Bigfoot research to establish science, and deservedly so. But is this necessarily the case? Perhaps the situation is as much due to the limitations of the research approach of Western science as it is to the inadequacy of the paranormal models. Our views should not be construed as an attempt to redefine the Bigfoot phenomena in ways that keep it a mystery and something we'll never be able to know. Far from it. That gets us nowhere and just puts us right back into the arena of opinion and belief. We insist also that we have not, in effect, made up a mythical beast and then resorted to these exotic arguments to defend our cherished beliefs. What motivated both of us from the beginning is that we came across various phenomena in our experience for which we could find no recognized scientific explanation. If there are electromagnetic effects associated with Bigfoot sightings and their psychic abilities, as Sheldrake and the Russian research suggest, then these would leave a trail just as surely as do fingerprints. Electromagnetism can be measured and quantified, and although it is difficult to say what it might look like, we should be able to develop new or utilize existing instrumentation to follow such a trail. And Robert Boston, Bigfoot in Germany, did exactly that while he was doing his research over in Germany. He had EM meters and stuff with him. He's got the documentation of them going off all the time when there's Bigfoot around him, especially when they're zapping him. So, yeah, a lot of this stuff has already been proven, and that's kind of my point. You can say, well, there's no paranormal aspect to it because it's not testable. It is testable. We have tested it. We've got video of them blending. We've got pictures of them cloaking. We've got video of EM meters going nuts when they're around.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Sounds absolutely nuts, but that's okay. That's why we love Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio here. Quickly tell everybody where they can find your channel.
Well, you can find World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, BitChute, and Bright Eon. And you can find my support groups over on Facebook, Montana Bigfoot Project and World Bigfoot Central, and World Bigfoot Central group on MeWe. And don't miss the show tomorrow night and on Friday night, because you will see a plethora of Bigfoot tracks in both of them.
Well, coming up in the news, Duke, I got a Bigfoot story. Let's get right to it.
What time is it? It's time for Shirky Poo's news!
Yeah, fisherman claims to have spotted a half dog, half human by a river in Texas. That might just be Bigfoot. Fisherman caught more than he intended when he captured footage of the mysterious creature on camera and left Bigfoot hunters feeling more than a little confused. And as you can imagine, when someone thinks they may have seen Bigfoot, there's a lot of swearing. The video starts off by showing grainy footage of a lake and what at first looks like a dog loitering around the banks. One of the onlookers asks, "What the F? Is that a dog or what?" However, as the video continues, suddenly the figure stands up, and honestly, it does look like a big Bigfoot. Luckily, the fisherman caught a clip on camera saying, "Holy cow, I got that on video." While the footage looks grainy, as for some reason it always is, it piqued the interest of Bigfoot expert, some dude we've never heard of, Andy McGrath. Have you ever heard of him, Duke? Andy McGrath?
No, I haven't heard of any of these experts.
All right. Well, he's an expert, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah, who looked high and low for the legendary Sasquatch for some time. And he says this footage, although compelling, is pretty hard to judge. The distance at which the creature stands away from the witness makes a positive identification of hoax or hungry wolfmen impossible. However, I would like to add that because I'm an expert, the reaction of witnesses seems natural enough. Although, again, I would juxtapose, because I'm an expert, that with their apparent lack of fear, which in itself could be explained away by their feeling safe due to the wide river, and that effectively puts them out of reach of the animal. Still, and he takes his work very seriously, offered other explanations as well, Super Duke. Could we be dealing with some unknown species of unidentified giant monkey? Wow, you're really reaching there, expert.
Yeah. Are there devil monkeys in that part of the country? Mr. Expert.
He's an expert. You know, that was like 1-800-DIAL-A-BIGFOOT comments right there.
Yeah.
1-800-DIAL-A-BIGFOOT. It's terrible. Honestly.
Yeah, you know, a spurt is just like a little drip of water, and he's a former spurt because he's an expert.
Yep. All right. Texas man accidentally killed himself after a bullet he fired from a gun exited a woman's neck and struck him in the leg. Yeah, Dallas police responded to a shooting around 11:30 a.m. Saturday morning at an apartment complex. Police said the officer saw a large amount of blood and a trail of blood in front of an apartment, but no one was inside. Officers were alerted to a call at the hospital where a man and woman were found nearby in a vehicle with gunshot wounds. Police identified the man as 26-year-old Byron Redmond. The woman's identity was not released. Investigators say that Redmond had shot the woman and the bullet exited and struck him in the leg. I'm trying to figure this one out. He later succumbed to injuries in hospital. No further details. And a 61-year-old dude has recently discovered he's been spelling his name wrong his entire life after seeing a copy of his birth certificate. Yeah, according to the official document, Alan Granger, with 2 L's, who has been spelling his name with 2 L's his entire life, is actually called Alan Granger with 1 L. Naturally, of course, of 6 decades on the planet, Alan has racked up a fair amount of legal paperwork, including his driver's license, wedding certificate, which both have his incorrect name on it. And in more permanent move, he also got 2 tattoos with the misspelling on Unlucky Pal. Yeah. How's that? You know what? I read that story because, believe it or not, Duke, that happened in my family with my uncle named Alan. He's always spelled his name with 1 L, A-L-A-N, but in reality, he couldn't get a passport because his name was legally A-L-L-A-N. Happened to Dad's brother. Thank you.
How do you go your whole life and never look at your birth certificate, for God's sake?
My grandma, well, don't forget, you didn't need a passport for the longest time. Right? We'll get to it. We'll explain it after the show. Thank you, Super Duke, for the cryptid report. Shirky Poo for the news. Swamp Dweller with a spooky story, and our guest tonight, Geraldine Orozco. We got Miss Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Do me a favor. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SLR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to be if you want to join us, we got room for you too. Just hop on board, like Super Duke. Good night. Get off my lawn! Get off my lawn, you kids. That's funny. No, true story, dude. True story. So, my dad is the oldest. His brother, Alan, is the second oldest. So, previous to 9/11, you didn't need a passport to cross into the U.S. border. Okay? All you needed was a driver's license. And so 9/11 happens, where all of a sudden now, because, this one politician lobbied for it, that Canadians should have passports to show at the border, because, the terrorists came in through Canada. And, well, the question us Canadians had was, but your guards let them through.
Mm-hmm.
But this lady wanted to blame Canadian government, so they put passports mandatory. And then when we had to get passports to cross into the U.S., which was about 2002, 2003, Canada then invoked passports for Americans to come through Canada. And the American government said, whoa, 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 Canada. The hell are you doing there? What the Sam hell's going on? And they couldn't understand that it was a reaction to the Americans forcing Canadians to have passports and being blamed for somehow your border guards for allowing the terrorists to come in from Canada. Right? Didn't make sense. But we got passports nonetheless. So my uncle goes to get a passport. He brings his driver's license and his birth certificate, and he can't get a passport because grandma spelled his name legally Allan, and he had always spelled it Alan. And my grandmother had spelled it Alan, because that's coming from a time going, now 70 years ago, 65 years ago, where you didn't care about things like the spelling. It didn't matter. If you had to make a change on the fly, you just made a change. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so my uncle got screwed by that.
Yeah, those terrorist guys that snuck across the Canadian border, they ended up in Minnesota, and they ended up learning to fly planes at an airstrip right next to where I was at. And they were repeatedly reported to the FBI, who were these goofy guys that want to learn how to fly a plane and don't want to learn how to land it. And the FBI, as usual, did nothing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the whole thing was a setup as far as I'm concerned, Dave.
Oh, well, I got to be careful with the whole YouTube algorithms on that stuff. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, it made for interesting times because my uncle's like, gave my grandma shit. He's like, how do you spell my name? She's like, Allan. He goes, well, why would you teach me to spell it Allan? I can't get a passport. He's like, well, how was I supposed to know you need a passport?
Who knew what draconian laws they were going to put into effect at some point?
Hey, who could afford 2 L's back then during the Depression?
Yeah. L, no. You can't even afford hardly 1 L.
Exactly. Some people didn't even get a middle name because their parents couldn't afford it.
Yeah. Some of them tried to spell Alan with an I, and they got Ian. That's where that name came from.
Is that how Ian came about?
That's a rumor I heard, Dave.
Oh, that would be.
Lemmy told me that one.
That would be actually kind of cool.
Ian Lemmy.
I would fall for that one.
Oh, what's the matter? Am I moving around too much? I'm waking up Sushi, the adventure dragon, who's sitting on my back right now.
How old is Sushi?
Sushi is about 5 or 6, I think, now.
He sure doesn't mind being handled, eh?
Oh, no. If I'll leave him on my back, he'll just fall asleep and sit there until I put him somewhere else. Occasionally, he'll realize he doesn't like the position he's in. He'll crawl further up under my hair or something like that, and then he'll just go right back to sleep again. And he can cling onto my back while he's sleeping.
Yeah.
As you can see, he's trying to see what you guys are doing. He's looking at you.
Old Sushi.
Sushi, the adventure dragon. He's all happy I rescued his squirrel buddy today. They get to stare at each other all the time. Oh, do you want to kiss Dave? Is that what you're doing, Sushi? Gonna give
hi, Sushi. Hello, Sushi. Come on, let's go. Hold on, let me get rid of the comment there. Hi, Sushi. Hi, Sushi.
Hey, Sushi.
Get off my lawn, Sushi!
He's like, why am I awake this time of night? I can see myself on the screen. How about that? That's you, dude. There you go. He's all curious.
That's awesome.
And go back to sleep, sweetie. There you go.
It's a good buddy.
Yeah, my favorite thing that he's learned recently is how to bike ride. And that's fairly hilarious because he stands on my shoulders, grabs onto my hair with his hands, and he's like standing up riding on my back, basically on the back of my head and on my shoulders. It looks pretty comical, but he's good at balancing. He can actually do it.
I used to do that when I had my iguana. I used to take her out for walks, and she'd be up on my shoulders. But the problem was she would get real anxious when people started coming around, and she'd try and run off. Thank God I had her leashed, but she took me to the hospital one day. She put me in the hospital one day.
Ow.
Yeah, she somehow she licked me, and I didn't wash my hands good enough. And so I got the salmonella, right? And so I'm in the hospital dying for like 8 hours, and they don't let you go until you poop, right? And so 8 hours had gone by, and they're not releasing me. So finally, a doctor that I know, because I coached his kid in hockey, comes in. He's like, "What's going on?" I told him, I said, "Doc, I've been here for 8-9 hours. They won't release me." He goes, "Why?" I said, "Because I think I got salmonella from my iguana, and they won't let me leave until I poop." And he goes, "Well, that's normal course of action." I said, "Yeah. Problem is I'm hungry. I got nothing in me. I'm starving, and they won't let me eat or nothing." Oh, yeah, we had it out that day.
I think I used to actually breed reptiles, and I had so many different ones, and at any given time I'd have like 100 or more that I probably just became pretty much immune to salmonella at some point. It probably just doesn't even affect me anymore.
Yeah, I wouldn't own another iguana again. Or a turtle.
I had a really awesome iguana. He was about 5 feet long, and I rescued him from a park in Florida. And then I took him to Minnesota with me and kept him up there for the last few years of his life till he died of old age. But he was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if I'd get another iguana because, when you have an awesome one, then you kind of go, well, the chances of another awesome one isn't very good.
Yeah. I wouldn't get another. I think if I were to get another one, I'd probably go back to geckos.
Geckos are awesome.
Geckos totally intrigue me. They totally intrigue me.
My leopard gecko that I had for 19 years, Buddy, just died last winter finally.
Oh, man.
And they actually live longer than that. Their average lifespan is more like 24 years. So he kind of checked out a little bit early, but I mean, still 19 years. You got an animal that's about the size of a mouse. You don't expect something that size to live that long.
And, oob to Joe's Lola. We'll give Lola some love.
Gargoyle gecko's cool.
Yeah.
Reading some of the comments in chat here.
Lizards. I would totally do lizards again, or frogs. Frogs totally intrigue me.
Just get a bearded dragon. They totally rock. Although monitor lizards are pretty awesome. I've had several of those. Beardy's the coolest. They're easy to deal with. Right, Sushi? He's like, hell yeah, we rock. I'm the coolest. See? Why am I up so late? I'm usually asleep by now. Put me down.
You cover his tank at night?
Huh? Oh, he sleeps like random places. Sometimes he just sleeps in a shelf in the bookshelf, and sometimes he sleeps under the bed. Sometimes he actually sleeps in his tank, not much during the summer. If it's warm enough outside, he just stays out on the screen porch all night.
Really? Let him wander around just on his own?
Well, no, he's inside of a screen porch enclosure. Nothing can get at him, and he can't get out. But as long as the temperature doesn't drop below 50 degrees, he can just stay outside at night and sleep out there. So I don't even need to bring him in.
Right.
If it's going to be nasty weather or it gets too cold or something like that, then I bring him in.
Yeah.
He likes being outside, and he gets to see everything that's going on in the neighborhood all the time.
He's
Watch
curious.
all the cars going by. Well, there's a park right across the street, too, and he's 10 feet up, so he can see every damn thing that's going on over there. And the school across the other side of the street doesn't have a playground. So they bring the kids over there for the playground. So every time there's like 20 or 30 kids over there, that's all his attention is on, is watching what they're doing, turning around the park over there.
He wants to yell at them, "Get off my lawn!
Get off my park, you little hairless weird things.
Hey, you little stinky morbid bastards!
You weird bipeds, get off my park.
Stop flicking your boogers on each other, you little hairy bastards!"
Yeah, I'll bring him over there again soon. They just changed out all the sand over there and everything. He'll have fun running around in that.
Do you leash him?
No. He's been... he was rendered useless or close to it by the reptile breeders that had him previously. They broke his wrist permanently. And he was one of the least damaged pets they had. So I got him as animal rescue. So he can walk around and stuff, but he can't run. No. A regular bearded dragon his size at 100 degrees can outrun a human easily. And he's never going to be able to do that. But it's fun taking him over there because there's clover that grows in the park. And he just acts like a lawnmower and eats a tunnel through it. Everything in front of him is edible. The clover's edible. The flowers are edible. Oh, look, a bee. I'll eat that too. There's another bug. That's edible. Everything in front of him is edible. He just mows a path through it. And then I don't have to feed him that day. So a bearded dragon, the whole world looks like a smorgasbord. It's just a buffet. Every direction they go, everything they see is food. If it's a plant or if it moves, it's food. So they're not that finicky as far as eating goes. He's been spoiled a bit. He likes to eat peas and blueberries and different kinds of lettuce and super worms. He mostly eats lettuce most of the time. Well, it's the first bearded dragon I've ever seen that actually loves blueberries. That's a little bit on the weird side.
Hey, whatever makes them feel good.
Yeah, you can just imagine in their native environment of Australia, there's not a lot of blueberries out there in the bush for them to eat. So the other thing is that, they're like a super dry land environment reptile, and they love fish. I found that out when I took one into a pet store with me. He was on my shoulder and he walked past fish tanks and he tried to leap to get the fish and bounced off the fish tank.
Oh, geez.
And then I went, wait, you guys know what a fish is? How is that possible? You live in a place where there's not even standing water, much less fish. Mm-hmm. So, I got him some fish, and sure enough, he munched on them.
Get off my tank, you lizard bastard!
Yeah. Well, if he could have got into the top of the tank, he would have probably tried to dive after him. But, I tried to experiment, got some little feeder goldfish and see if one of my dragons would eat them. And, oh, yeah, crunch, crunch, crunch. They're happy to have fish. So, even though they really haven't had any in their environment in 60,000 years, somehow they still know what a fish is. That's a little peculiar.
I hear you.
Yep. Yeah, one of the other fun ones I had was a monitor lizard named Smog. And he was about 4 feet long, and I had a harness leash for him. I could take him for walks and stuff. And I'd take him to the fair, and everybody'd try and feed him foot-long hot dogs and stuff, which he'd gobble down in 3 bites. He'd just disappear. They're like, wow, that was fast. I didn't get my money's worth. What do you think he was going to chew on it? Lizards don't chew. They bite off a chunk they can swallow, and they swallow it. Then they repeat process. Yeah, he liked that. He loved going for a walk down at the fair because then people would give him hot dogs to eat. I swear to God, he got more attention than I did by a wide margin. Everybody wanted to see him.
As he should.
That was pretty funny. Well, you don't often see, this 4-foot lizard that's on a leash that knows how to walk on a leash. I had him trained to do that. When I was living out at the farmhouse, him and my iguana would go outside in the morning. When I went down to get the newspaper and make my coffee, they would go down and sit by the front door and wait for me to open the front door, and they'd go outside. And then they would go warm up on the front porch for a few minutes until they were warm, and at southern exposure with concrete, so it got nice and warm. And then they'd walk out into the yard, and they would go to the right, and they'd go around the house, which took them about an hour. And the iguana would eat every stinking weed that was growing in the yard. Grass was yucky, apparently, but every weed that grew in the yard was yummy, so he'd eat them. And while he was doing that, he'd accidentally kick up mice and stuff just because he's a 5-foot iguana and he's moving around. And as they would run for it, guess what? The monitor was right there to eat them. So they got rid of all the weeds and they got rid of all the little vermin around the house. And then after about an hour, they'd be back at the front porch and they had a big meal. So they wanted to warm up. So they'd go sit on the front porch again and wait for me to open the door and let them back in the house. And that was their day during the summer. It's the lawnmower and the mouse remover.
Jesus. Oh, my God.
It was really hilarious. And I go, well, okay, guys want to come back in now? And I'd open the door and they'd be like, back in the house.
All proud.
Yeah, all proud. Full tummies. Got to spend an hour outside eating things. I had to look out the windows every so often to see where they're at and stuff. They never showed any interest in wandering very far from the house. It's like they knew where they lived. They wanted to just go outside and eat things that moved or that didn't move, in the case of the iguana, and then come back in the house again. I saw a really hilarious meme that somebody made of a, I think it's a Nile monitor. I'm not sure of the subspecies, but he's tripoding it. He's standing on his hind legs and his tail, and he's got his upper body completely erect. And the meme says, "Look at me, I'm a human. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't eat the neighbor's cat. Dur, dur, dur."
Right?
And yeah, they're notorious for that sort of thing. When they get big enough, like they've still got the reptile personality, even though they're smart. Anything that's smaller than them that moves is potential food, and that includes cats, small dogs, anything else.
I hear you. I'll be right back. I'm going to take a bathroom break.
Alrighty, I'll take some viewer comments. If anybody in the comment pool there has some comments they want me to comment on, comment away, and I will re-comment on your comment. That was like a statement Kamala would have made. Mind rescues. Has anybody else in the chat room ever had a pet monitor lizard or a pet tegu? Jason, like I said earlier, I think he's like 5 or 6 years old. I didn't raise him from a hatchling, so I don't know exactly how old he is. What kind do you eat? Corn snake? Wow, chimpanzees are super dangerous. Yeah, there's some little milk snakes and stuff that just have amazing colors and patterns on them. They're absolutely gorgeous. Cornflakes, corn snakes, yeah. I had to babysit snakes when I was living in the Twin Cities. I was known to be the reptile guy, and I had a few friends that had really huge snakes for pets. And when they went on vacation, I was the one that got to take care of them. And usually it wasn't any big deal because they don't eat all that often. So unless somebody was going to be gone for a couple of weeks, I'd only have to feed them like one time or something. But, you know, when you get a 16-foot reticulated python, you're supposed to feed them a couple live rabbits. It's like, okay. Well, this is a little bit different animal feeding than what you usually get to deal with. This isn't like pouring some dog food in the doggy bowl. And you couldn't feed him in his enclosure. You had to take him out of the enclosure and feed him, and then try and get him to go back in again. So now you're like wrestling with a 16-foot reticulated python, trying to get him to go back into his enclosure that he doesn't want to go into. And remember, you can't kill him or hurt him. You just got to get him back in the enclosure. God. Another time I was at a friend's birthday party, and he had broken his leg in a motorcycle accident about 3 weeks before. And somebody brought his Burmese python out in the yard and let it cruise around. Well, then they were getting half drunk and weren't paying any attention to where it was. And next thing you know, it had crawled up a tree. And I was the only one there that wasn't completely drunk that could climb a tree. So I got to climb about 30 feet up the tree and try and grab this 8-foot Burmese python and bring him back down to ground level again. And it wasn't that hard to get up there and grab him, but the problem was when you started trying to climb down, anytime your arm that he was on was near a branch, he'd grab the branch and climb off of you. So eventually what I had to do was let him grab onto a branch, snap the branch off, and then hand the branch with him on it down to somebody who was halfway up the tree, and they handed it down to somebody that was on the ground to get him back out of the tree again, because the way I was doing it was not working. Yeah, Dave probably doesn't have guests on his show very often that have rescued a Burmese python from a tree or dove into a river and grabbed onto the flippers on a baby manatee and let them drag them up the river. I've done that before too. I'm all ready to take over for the croc hunter. Crikey, that's a perler. All right, Dave's back. Now I'm going to go.
Dave's back.
Dave is back. Well, thank God Dave's here and not that El Omni Volador guy.
Oh,
he's pretty rowdy.
Jerk on the round table.
He's pretty rowdy. Yeah, he was being mean to everybody. And after hours, he was being incredibly mean and hilarious.
To who?
To everyone. He was just mean.
He wasn't on after hours. I kicked him out.
Well, yeah, once you got back again.
Jeez, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
we don't want stuff like that around here.
It was truly terrifying. Okay, well, I got to actually go back to work. I've got video of that Sasquatch tracks in Alaska that was filmed. Got to get that all done, get it ready to go for Friday. So tomorrow night, you guys come on over, check out my show, see Bigfoot right in camp and 18-inch trackline trackways. And then I will be back here to visit you and Dave again on Thursday.
All right, buddy. Much love to you, and thank you for being awesome.
Thank you for having me on your awesome show, brother. Everybody take care. Have a great night.
See you, Super Duke. And we'll say goodnight to Dirty Filth because he's not there before Blob ruins that. Hi, Terry Hall. How you doing, buddy? I'm just downloading. I'm downloading. Oh, there's the dating sites. I was wondering where they were. Let's blank them. Report them. Porno. Report. Oh, look, lots of them. All right. Porno report. And report. Porno report. And get rid of that one. Porno report. Let's see here. I hate these things. I got to figure out. I know there's a way to do it. I haven't figured it out yet. But you got to put a restriction on our channel that in order to comment, you got to subscribe and you got to wait 1 minute. A lot of channels are doing that to get rid of this crap. So I'm going to be doing that. All packed, eh? Heading back home tomorrow. Nice. That's exciting. You got a long drive ahead of you, man. Oh, wrong one. Cancel. Like this. Folder. Desktop right there. There we go. Upload. Upload that one. Hide that. And go from there. Yeah. That's a long drive. I think what, about 24 hours worth of driving? About there? You and Timmy got? Mm-hmm. There you go. Sure, we can see wildlife camera. Hold on. See what's happening in Africa here. Anything happening there? Oh, we got a bunch of canoes happening right now. Definitely one of the ugliest animals going. Otherwise known as the wildebeest. Oh, 14-hour drive. Okay. Yeah. Canoes are kind of boring. Let's go YouTube live. See what's happening at Oliphant's River. Anything? Any gators or hippos? Nothing. Let's go down here. Head over to Tau. We got nothing but birds. That's terrible. Where are we going? Let's go to Tembe. See if they got anything cool. Oh, there we go. Look at this big bastard. I'm a little thirsty. Down at the old watering hole, leaving Martha at home to tend to the children while he goes for a couple of drinks. Mm-hmm. He's having the life right now. Just saying. He's having the life right now. Nobody bugging him. Nobody bugging him. Mm-hmm. I hear you. Big elephant. Big chunk out of its ear. Wonder how that happened. I think that was probably a cat or something. Hyena. Just to show you how big that sucker is. Holy cow. Big boy. All right. We are done the downloading. Tomorrow night, Giulio Consiglio will come in, talk some UFOs and ET contact, along with a little bit of disclosure movement. We're going to have a good time with him tomorrow night. And I really appreciate Dry Toast, Kira, Science Bob, Siobhan, and 405er for the great super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Don't forget our store, spacedoutradio.com. My throat is bothering me, so I'm going to head on out for the night. We'll see you all tomorrow. Have fun, everyone.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.